Can't
Hello,
fucking
everybody.
sign out of this goddamn thing.
176. Show notes? What show notes? And I got your name. Once I figure out which cast he is. Oh no,
What
this
the hell? Who came up with that title?
we have no show notes. Gotta remember, I'm a lazy person. It's called Irongeek Cast, but
No.
very little work.
No. Hot monkey.
Oh no, that's the chat name, man.
Oh,
We don't want people to instantly join in. Though we only have 3 of us here right now.
yeah. Yeah. Just laugh so hard. Oh my god.
But so, fellow Jister, you're big into Bitcoin. What was your name again?
Colin.
Colin. So what kind of weird exploits going on right now?
I'm not entirely sure what's happening. I just basically got introduced to the concept right now of what's happening. I mean, it's looking like we've got the Bitcoin scam. I'm still trying to just uncover everything that's going on.
But someone's stealing some Bitcoin from people.
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, it looks like more of a. I mean, it doesn't seem like a very smart move for somebody to be trying to just make money scam people on Bitcoins. I mean, like what Nathan said, I think I agree with him that it's a statement a little bit to show how easy it is to compromise. I mean, if you look at Twitter nowadays, like Jack's been under attack, right? They've been trying to take him out, from what I've heard more recently, because of the freedom of speech that's allowed on Twitter, right? And it's been one of those men compromised. But more recently, I've noticed that I've been being demonetized. My tweets, like nothing's really getting out too much anymore. So, I mean, it could be kind of a stand of defiance, just really showing like, hey, you know, this is why we need more and more of this decentralized technology, right? And I mean, in a way, like doing the whole Bitcoin thing, right? Like maybe that's a way to just bring people's awareness to Bitcoin, or maybe it's a reverse psyops where it's supposed to make Bitcoin look like something that scammers use on like a very large scale to discredit cryptocurrency. I mean, there's a lot of motives here, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, the intelligence that it would take, it would have to be either, if these guys are legitimate scammers and they're just trying to scam people and whatever with Bitcoin scams, like this 0 day would probably be not that sophisticated, right? Because their way they're quote unquote monetizing it is just not very sophisticated, trying to get people into a Bitcoin scam that's retarded. But you know, if there's a deeper purpose to it, you know, if this is a bit more of a significant 0 day, then I think this might be a statement from somebody trying, you know, the beginning, I guess, of many more statements, I would assume, especially seeing how the way the world is right now and all these political leaders are now taking Twitter and it really is. I think it's important too for like the disintegrating of, you know, people's beliefs and the systems and the power and all these leaders and everything. I mean, it's so easy for them to become compromised because the internet itself is just so easy to compromise. I mean, it's ridiculously vulnerable to everything, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, Colin. Yeah, Nathan is my go-to person for cryptocurrency things. I don't have a whole lot of knowledge of the situation. Oh, by the way, welcome to Charles and Darren. They're 2 other people who are regular cast members.
Sweet.
Hey, how goes it?
The dude with the DuckTales shirt.
Huh? What'd you say?
I said Charles is the guy with the DuckTales shirt.
All right.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hopefully, I'm sorry. I'm currently inebriated and I'm not in a good frame of mind. I am not.
It's all good, bro.
I am not capable of carrying the show very well myself. Okay, so what kind of exploit are they using to steal Bitcoins? What exactly are they doing?
I don't know. Let me do a little bit digging real quick. I mean, most likely it's just a type of generic Bitcoin scam where they're, you know, oh hey, you know, I got this giveaway, blah blah blah. But like I said, I just found out about this a couple minutes ago, so give me a couple minutes to do some digging and figure out what the fuck's going on.
In the meantime, I'll ask Charles and Darren how you guys are doing.
I'm doing great in my Tony the Tiger voice. Feeling good, having some fun as usual. More t-shirts came in.
More t-shirts?
Yeah.
You got personalized t-shirts or something coming in?
Yeah. So I did
BSD Bandit merchandise or something?
No. This summer, I don't know if you've seen my account a lot. Like Each day I wear a different shirt, retro wise.
Oh, and today's DuckTales.
Yeah, today is DuckTales. I'm doing the summer of retro. So
Man, I liked that TV show when I was a kid. I mean, I watched it in the early '90s, and
yeah,
how does this way? Darkwing Duck came out just a little bit too much after my
classic.
Teenage years.
Mhm.
But I watched a lot of freaking DuckTales as a kid on my grandma's little TV set.
Classic, man. So I just declared this summer, with everything going on, I declared this summer the summer of retro. So anything retro related, like t-shirt wise, I'm actually wearing. I mean, I've done Metroid, I've done Ninja Gaiden, I've done Mike Tyson Punch Out, Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, the list goes on and on. So I had some more coming for like Adventure Island.
Adventure Island, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, you'll see tomorrow.
What is Adventure Island? I don't know if I'm familiar with that particular series.
It was a game for NES, and it was called Adventure Island. And they had 3 versions of it, part 1 and 2 and 3. It came out. Adventure Island came out in '86 for Nintendo.
As long as you got retro stuff coming in, you got some Tron stuff coming in or anything?
See, that's another good idea. Definitely gonna put that in perspective. I'm actually getting a shirt made called Two Stupid Dogs.
Two Stupid Dogs. I'm not familiar with that either.
It was an old school cartoon. It was a cartoon. It came out at the same time as like Secret Squirrel cartoon.
Yeah, Dexter's Labs.
Yeah.
Part of a whole block that was done back in Cartoon Network back in the late 90s.
Yeah. So a combination of that. You can't do that on television. Real World first season.
Real World first season. That was when MTV stopped playing music, right?
Thereabouts.
Yeah. I got some Beavis and Butthead t-shirts coming. Definitely Ren and Stimpy. Shoot, what else? Yeah, man. Summer retro, man. Anything retro related. I tweeted a couple of pics. I got my FamiCon out.
I pretty much only wear conference shirts anymore. I have so many different con shirts. Not that people aren't trying to deplatform me from fucking conferences. I've been hung up on things, man. People say about me online has been pissing me off.
You know what? And as you know, as your friend, I know it's not true. So
what means all sorts of fucking things, and I get some of them, but like I got people calling me a Nazi and a racist, and I'm like, what the fuck did I ever say that was racist? Ever?
Like I said, it has no merit. Here's the thing, it would have even any type of merit if you give it any energy. But we know it's not true. You know it, I know it, and whoever, people are gonna think anything about you regardless of who you are.
The Nazi thing, I especially don't get, especially since I'm so into Jewish chicks. I mean,
people, bro, like, especially nowadays, there's a lot of polarity going around. People are projecting tons of shit all over everybody, man. You just gotta, you just gotta let it flow over like, water on a duck's back.
Yeah.
All right. And Trump got elected, and people seem to have gone batshit insane. And I understand why people don't like Trump. I get that. I understand he's an uncouth individual. But I don't understand the level of nuttiness people have gone to.
Well, here's the thing, too. Like, I think what's happening now is that we have a set of people, like everybody, if you don't agree with what they're doing, then you're the enemy. And everybody's like kind of like back and forth with everything. And it's just like, people have the right to feel how they feel, think how they think, or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, you're free to say whatever you want, but you're not free from the consequences that come with it.
I hear a lot of people say that, but normally I hear people saying that on the far left side of things.
Well, it's a universal thing, because everybody was so hung up on this Will Smith marriage situation.
What's it? I don't know what's going on. I heard Will Smith, did his wife cheat on him, or what was the deal with that?
Yeah, well, they were She said they were taking a break from each other, and then they had she had an entanglement with.
Yeah, even if you're taking a break, though, taking a break does not mean cheating.
So some interesting stuff about. I'm looking at the Block Explorer right now. The last 3 or 4 hours of these inputs are actually unconfirmed. Which I mean, Bitcoin can be slow normally, but I mean, it looks like there's some other interesting things happening. It's probably due to Binance and stuff like that. There's been about 12 Bitcoins that have been received, right? Which is a little bit over $100,000. But the last 3 or 4 hours of these transactions going to this address are actually completely unconfirmed. So it usually confirms after about 10 or 20 minutes, right? Or you at least get one confirmation. But 3 or 4 hours, they're not processing. It looks like there might be some type of decentralized response going on in the Bitcoin community, because basically transactions that you send out for Bitcoin, right? They don't always have to be included in the block. It's really up to the miners to include it. They decide, right? And it usually comes down to based on fees. So miners right now, depending on, how many of them are actually working together, it looks like they're not confirming these transactions, which is kind of interesting. You would think,
it's not going into the blockchain.
No. So the last 3 hours, the last one that confirmed was at 1:30.
And export that's involved, is this Bitcoin specific, or is it something?
No, I mean, it looks like they're just using the Bitcoin in order to try to monetize on this exploit. I mean,
exploit in what software are we talking about, man?
I haven't checked the exact. I don't know what the exact exploit is. Like, it's still kind of up. But I mean, this doesn't really have anything specifically to do with Bitcoin. They're just using Bitcoin to monetize, right? Okay. In order to basically like monetize this attack. But like, I still am kind of feeling like it may not just be about the money, man. I mean, it's got to be a pretty serious 0 day to be able to compromise that many accounts, right? And I mean, they had to have been sitting on it for a long time too. Like, usually 0 days like that get sat on for quite a while.
But you're saying you think this is something to decreditize?
It might be, man. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense with the complexity. I mean, this looks like a script kiddie did it, right? Like, I mean, the Bitcoin, oh hey, it's this just standard Bitcoin scam, right? Like, send me this Bitcoin and I'll send you twice as much back, right? They do it all the fucking time, like scam.
So like a Nigerian prince
all over the place, right? So it's just like your common shitty Bitcoin fucking scam, right? So the question is, why, with such a sophisticated 0 day that would be able to target so many of these blue check accounts, would they be doing just this kind of mediocre Bitcoin scam? I mean, they had to, like, that's why I'm saying it doesn't necessarily match, right? Like, it's a pretty significant attack, right? To be able to find a 0 day that would be able to exploit some of these accounts on that level, right? It's not just your standard password hacking or social engineering, right? Because you wouldn't have all these people be able to give their passwords out through social engineering attacks like with that high of a probability. I mean, you usually have a really low probability of people actually giving the passwords, and smarter, more intelligent people don't fall for that, right? So these guys didn't get phished. This had to have been some significant flaw in the actual Twitter system, right? Which it could maybe be a database breach, which I could assume. Which
this is the first I'm hearing of it. So can you link me up in the chat or something? Send me a link in the chat so I can know what we're talking about.
Yeah. You want me to give you a link for the?
Yeah, send it in the chat. There should be a chat feature inside of Jitsi that you can send something.
Yeah, got it. Let's see. So I'll drop you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, bro.
Oh, by the way, Charles is our resident BSD expert, and he's all things like BSD and Wi-Fi. And Darren is a general computer security guy, and also a bit of a gun nut.
All right, cool.
Which,
oh my goodness,
I am too. So
me and guns, we didn't get along very well.
You don't get very along with guns?
No, I mean, last time I got a gun, the cops tried to fucking frame me and shit. So.
Oh shit! No, that's
yeah. I mean, when you build a cryptocurrency, right? Like, they don't necessarily.
Who was that guy I think he was down in Texas. He was a big into cryptocurrency, and he was building 3D printed guns. And
yeah, the Ghost Gunner.
Yeah, what is that gentleman's name?
I don't know, but I've heard
he got some bad shit happen to him because.
Oh, you're talking about Cody Wilson.
Cody Wilson, yes. And yeah, he did some illegitimate shit with a woman who was a little too young.
Yeah.
But he didn't tell him how young she was. And it halfway seems like a frame-up job. I don't know.
Oh, they did, dude. They did. They tried to frame me a couple times, bro, over the years. Like that's the best way they can take, because if they kill you, right, like it just makes a martyr. Right? They don't want martyrs anymore. That doesn't do them any good. But discrediting them, right? Like, I mean, dude, they love to do shit like that, like send an underage girl in, right? Or, you know, plant shit on people's computers. Like, I've heard stories of that numerous times, like planting evidence on your computer. That's why you always want to have like encrypted drive, use Linux, like, don't touch Windows. I mean, that thing's just like backdoors waiting.
The underage thing wasn't the thing that actually went after him for. It was something else they were trying to go after him for, right?
What's that?
It wasn't the underage thing they were going after him for directly. It was something else he was doing that they were pissed off about.
Yeah, it was the Ghost Gunner. Like, the Ghost Gunner was like a gun that was basically 3D printed and allowed anybody to have an assault rifle without all of the licensing issues, because they've been trying to really nail down and bring down the assault weapons, because they want to make it, you know, difficult for people to protect themselves against, you know, governments that are how they are. So yeah, the Ghost Gunner like basically is just this 3D printed shell that you can just like load a clip in and put a barrel on, and it's a fully functional assault rifle.
So it was like what was it, like a metal milling machine that could print receivers.
Yeah, and I think it actually ended up being legal in some legal technicalities of it. I think, from what I remember, I mean, this is just going on my memory of talking with Danny Sessom, who was, you know, promoting it. And I'm pretty sure the Ghost gun itself is legal, but like once you assemble it into an assault rifle, it isn't. So they couldn't really get him on anything, because he's just 3D printing this, you know, component of the gun, right? But it's the full gun together with the ammunition that then becomes the assault rifle and becomes a problem. So they, you know, gave people the opportunity to get their own assault rifles, but without it.
No, there is so much wrong with what you just said. Holy shit!
I'm not the gun expert.
For starters, they're not assault rifles because they're not automatic. None of these are automatic. If you drill that third hole, you're going to go to federal prison for 10 years and $250,000 fine. Secondly, it's not illegal federally to make your own firearm. Some states have enacted policies against that, most notably New Jersey and California. I think New York too, but those are the big ones. All it lets you do is build a lower receiver out from what's called an 80%, where it's already got a threaded receiver tube, things like that, or threaded the rear lug. But you still have to supply the upper and then all the lower parts, so you have to still put in all the springs and pins and all that fun stuff in there.
Yeah, so it was technically legal to develop that component. It's not an assault rifle because it's not fully automatic, but to develop that component, it wasn't illegal, correct? But the reassembly of it with certain components then made it eventually illegal. Is that correct?
If you use it to make a machine gun, yes, that's illegal unless you're like me, which I'm an FFL 0702, so I can manufacture. But you can make a regular semi-automatic firearm, absolutely no problems. That's totally legal. I mean, federally, at least. Again, check state and local law.
Yeah.
Federally, yeah. The issue that Defense Distributed really had was they were offering these plans and more up for download for anyone, and that's a violation of ITAR because export of schematics to a foreign person. That means even if a foreign person looks at it, it's considered an export, and that's against ITAR.
Really?
And that's the State Department. They don't fuck around. State Department does not fuck around.
The First Amendment doesn't cover that?
What's that?
The First Amendment doesn't cover that?
No, not really. There have been cases on it. There was a case they argued for it, but they basically settled out of court, so there really hasn't been any precedent on it so far, so to speak, but yeah.
So, well, cool. Thanks for the education, man. Like I said, I mean, I've only had a gun once, and the cops tried to frame me with it, so I'm totally having no idea.
I have people trying to red flag my ass. Crazy people on Twitter. But yeah, what is that? Darren, you're what is it? I can't remember the license you have. FFA?
FFL.
FFL. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd buy stuff from you, but you live way far away from me.
Yeah. I mean, you could come down here and buy long guns for me, no problem. You can't buy handguns for me because that's how that works for some reason. But
Wait, I can't. I as an Indiana resident cannot come down to. I think I remember where you live, but I'm not going to say it on air.
I live in Texas. That's fine.
Right. I can't come down to Texas and buy firearms.
You can't buy handguns. You can buy long guns, but you can't buy a handgun. You can only buy a handgun from a FFL in your state.
Okay.
And you can buy long guns as long as the transaction is legal in both places. So basically, like most AR-15s, someone from California couldn't come here and buy it because it's not legal in California. So.
Well, nothing is legal in California as far as.
Oh yeah, I know. I'll give you that as an example of it. Yeah, but so basically,
Californians are moving to your state and fucking with the laws.
Yeah, I know. I'm one of them. I'm one of those. Yeah, I know.
Oh, you're from California originally?
Yeah, originally, yeah. But
you didn't bring the California gun politics with you, though.
Oh hell no.
Yeah, so I mean,
come on,
Californians coming and bringing the fucked up gun politics with them.
They're trying, yeah, but we're fighting back pretty hard here. But I mean that's it used to be the case where you could only buy a long gun from a neighboring state, like say someone from Arkansas or Oklahoma could come here, or vice versa. But now it's been expanded of as long as it's legal in both jurisdictions, it's fine.
Okay, I've never bought a gun out of state. I've only ever bought guns in southern Indiana, and inherited a bunch from my uncle.
Yep.
Egads. I think I showed you the video. My uncle was so fucking armed. He was my uncle. My uncle took that shit to ridiculous levels. I mean, I'm pro gun, but I'm pro Second Amendment. But my uncle, damn.
As everyone should.
We see Nathan's back on.
On what's going on with the unconfirmed transactions right now, there's a pretty big backlog on Bitcoin blockchain, about 42,000 pending transactions, about 30 megabytes that are still waiting. So that's most likely why those are unconfirmed. So it doesn't look like there's anything funny happening on the Bitcoin side. But I still think that there's something going on as far as this attack. It just doesn't really match up. I mean, it looks like a Script Kiddies attack. So I'm still digging into exactly what happened. I mean, I'm assuming the most likely scenario looks like it's a database breach. I'm assuming on Twitter, some sort of internal database breach so that they can breach the accounts, because this wasn't like your conventional type of hack or social engineering or anything where, you're directing somebody off Twitter to put in a fake login page and stuff like that. Because these types of people, you don't fish people like that. So, I mean, this has to be some sort of internal breach, but even then with the internal breach, all you have is password hashes. So, I mean, it could be, I don't know. I mean, it could be something pretty severe in the entire Twitter system. I mean, this may just be one aspect of it that's happening, right? I mean, it doesn't look like they've made out very well. I mean, it's only $100,000. So, I mean, that's what's a little bit funny to me is like the usage, the monetization of the attack just doesn't necessarily match the sophistication to pull something off, unless this was just like a completely blatantly horrible 0 day, which it happens quite a lot. I mean, and it could just be some, dumbass kid that's just going out there and trying to spam the Bitcoins. But I mean,
is a Twitter fraud they're using, or what kind of exploit are they using? I don't understand what software they're attacking.
So it looks like they're attacking the actual Twitter website, right? And I'm assuming that they've done some sort of database breach where they're able to breach into the internal system. It could be some sort of social engineering attack too for a Twitter employee. Like, humans are usually your biggest security vulnerability. So when you're talking about breaches like this, you definitely want to attempt some sort of social engineering. They could have taken a flash drive and put a virus. I mean, you can put a virus on a flash drive, get malware internally, then you take over the internal Twitter network, and then from there, then you own them. You can do whatever you want. But this, in order to get these caliber people, is a pretty sophisticated attack that I'm assuming they had something on the inside or someone on the inside in order to pull it off. Because externally trying to take this out, right? Even if you breach the database, all you have is password hashes. It's not going to give you anything that's authenticated, right? And that's, why you hash passwords inside the databases so that somebody else can't take it and reveal the credentials. But like, I would assume that this is some sort of either social engineering to a Twitter employee or getting some sort of drive or malware internally on Twitter, because in order to pull something off like this, I mean, They could have been harvesting. I mean, they could have put 0 days in if they got access to the code. I mean, the database, like I said, isn't going to really give you that much access. They could have polluted and gotten internally to the Twitter system, which allows them to just manipulate the code and do it from that inside.
Wait, so are we talking about someone social engineering people on Twitter?
I'm assuming
right now, so I may not be making much sense.
Yeah. I'm assuming that it's something to do with that. Just from my understanding of the situation and the fact that these are really, really high caliber accounts. I mean, it's most likely that they got malware somehow inside the Twitter system, and they've been sitting there, sitting on it and gathering, right? Because you get in and then you sit and you wait for people to reveal certain information, and building this up over some time. But that's what I'm saying is it's just to get a breach this significant, right? And then just post a Bitcoin scam doesn't. I mean, it's just any idiot would know that that's not going to be very effective, right? So that's where it's just kind of this contradictory to me, right? Is just the caliber of the attack doesn't really match the way what they did with it, right?
So you're thinking someone wasted a good vulnerability on a less than.
I don't necessarily think that. I mean, if they've gotten this far and they're just doing, if they're a sophisticated attacker, they're not just somebody that got lucky finding a 0 day with, like some, popular script kiddie, whatever, right? If that's the case, like, then the Bitcoin scam would make sense. But if it's somebody that's a more sophisticated hacker that actually went through a lot of steps to do it, then I'm sure that they have much more than this, and this is just the first wave.
See, I got to admit, I am very ignorant of Bitcoin, and I've tried to wrap my head around it. I've been explaining to it several times. A guy named Bob Weiss gave a great talk that I recorded.
Yeah.
But every time I understand Bitcoin, it gives me a few hours, and then it loses out of my head. You and Nathan are my Bitcoin hookups, I guess, as far as what is going on with that particular field. Actually, and Janie is into cryptocurrency too.
Yeah.
Speaking of Nathan, I'm back.
Hey, do you follow Janie on Twitter?
I'm an idiot. I rarely use Twitter. I go on.
Yeah, Janie is a very pretty lady of Afghanistani heritage, and she's big into Bitcoin, and she talks about it all the time. That, and she talks about meat. She talks about whatever animal he's cooking up.
Nathan, what do you think? Because it looks like a script kiddie, right? It looks like a script kiddie did it with this Bitcoin scam. It makes absolutely no fucking sense, right? Like, why would some script kiddie just be wasting a good fucking 0 day on something that's obviously so fucking retarded that nobody's gonna do? I mean, they've only made 100,000 out, right?
Holy shit! I'm not the only long-haired person in this cast.
What's that?
I'm not the only long-haired, hippie-looking person in this cast.
Yeah.
I stay off cam though, man. My face is all screwed up. I've been having this. I've been here in quarantine, and my beard's growing out, and it's not good. Your hair is prettier than mine, though. Your hair is way prettier than mine because my hair is not doing well. I used to have hair like that though, but my hair right now is I'm aging and it's thinning and it's not good.
Is this a cast about Colin's hair? Is that what this is?
Yeah.
I didn't see it in the show notes.
Probably I am admiring Point Break.
I mean, correct me if you see this differently, but this looks like, it looks like a script kiddie, but
no, I don't think that at all.
Hear me out. I'm not saying it's a script kiddie. I'm saying the way that they're doing this with this fucking shitty ass stupid Bitcoin scam, it just makes no sense. I think there's something deeper going on, and they have probably more 0 days than this, and this has to be a first wave of just like a fuck you. Right? I think to be able to pull this off, you can't do it with just conventional phishing and social engineering, right?
Right. No, I think the idea is to make it look unsophisticated, but think about what's being achieved here. It's making Bitcoin look kind of shitty, right? Because like if you're into security or you're into fucking Bitcoin or you're into cryptocurrency, then you're gonna be like, no, don't look at us poorly. But the fact of the matter is if you're one of these people that sees nothing but ransomware on the news, like on your like 9 to 5 news, like, hey, the hospital's down again because of some fucking ransomware, or like our library's web page is down because of some then this is just reaffirming that whole thing. But it demonstrates to people that like our heads of state and our heads of industry are all susceptible to being overtaken by these awful Bitcoin people. So
it does kind of seem that makes a little bit more sense. I mean, it could be, like you said, like something nation state or interstate sponsored, because they're trying to basically destroy the public's view of Bitcoin at the same time of making all these other guys look like fucking shit.
You
flatten
know,
the curve of adoption.
there's actually a much simpler explanation for it.
What's that?
It's Bitcoin is easy to use. It's untraceable.
It's not. No, it's traceable, and it's fucking dog shit to use.
It's traceable, but to a wallet. But who owns that wallet, you don't know. And it's also
they trace everybody through exchanges, man. It's really difficult to do any Bitcoin for cash or anything anymore because they try to push people with the money transmitter laws and everything. So they trace you from the exchange by tracing.
That's the whole.
They've actually got sophisticated AI algorithms that can completely demix everything, even if you run it through
chain analysis.
Yeah, it's totally fucking traceable, man.
And also, once it's sent, that's it. You have no way of getting your money back. There's no fraud protection.
Yes, you do. You just send another transaction out with the replace by fee, dude. Like Blockstream made it really easy to fucking double spend the memory pool. Like it's not it until it gets on a block, but when it's in the memory pool, dude, you just do simple replace by fees and whatever. Like, I mean, yeah, it is. Sorry, this is my expertise. You're the gun guy, crypto and fucking software. That's my shit.
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't know nearly enough about cryptocurrencies as I should. Considering how I'm right. I'm not as ANCAP as Nathan is, but I'm a minarchist. So how this way, I have sympathies for Nathan's views in general. And I have some questions about monetary currency and fiat currency. And let's go back to some old school shit. Let's go back to about when I was born. What do y'all think of going off the gold standard?
We've been off the gold standard for a while. I
know. That's why I said around my birth.
I'll answer that because I've been thinking about this a little bit, like more recently, right? And the gold standard, the reason that it was really important is you can't inflate the money supply beyond the actual amount of gold, and gold has a scarcity, so it's got economic principles of sound money, right?
Yeah,
which
Fort
is
Knox is about 45 minutes away from me.
What's that?
Fort Knox is about 45 minutes away from me.
Yeah. So thinking about 100 years ago, yeah, gold was great. It worked better because, I mean, when there was a gold seizure in 1933, they needed to take all the gold because they needed to inflate the money supply, right, with the Federal Reserve. And so when they got rid of it in the Bretton Woods Agreement in like 72, then it was easy. They could just print money like nothing. But now let's look at the properties of gold, right? That property of the scarcity was a really important quality of gold as money. Now, other properties, fungibility, it's not super fungible, right? You had like break off a chunk of my gold and it sucks balls to use. Paper slips came in, right? It's not as useful as the cryptocurrency, for instance, and you have the physical storage of it, so you can get robbed, and you have all these things, and then centralization requirements to have Fort Knox gold and whatever else, right? But when we look at the properties of, let's say, cryptocurrency, right? You have the scarcity built into the economic model through mathematical regulation, right? You have fungibility built into the cryptocurrency as well, so that you can transact with people, and you've removed the need for transport, right? So cryptocurrencies, to me, I think fulfill all of the properties of sound money that gold did, but without the need for gold. Now, people talk about gold-backed cryptocurrencies, but in essence, a cryptocurrency is backed by whatever people are willing to exchange for it. So whatever commodity, I could go buy something with cryptocurrency, and it's therefore backed by that, because the principles of gold-backed currency is one bill, one of these slips of paper represents a certain amount of gold, right? And that's how it used to always be. And that's where the paper money came in, because people started realizing we can't store all of our gold. This doesn't work. And they started creating banks and all these other things. So like, do we need gold as a backing of our currency anymore? I don't think so. With these new technologies that we have, we get all of those properties that gold gave in a gold-backed currency, but without all of the negative sides of gold.
So you think there's a bright future in cryptocurrency then?
What's that?
You think there's a good see, I'm ignorant on all this stuff, so I'm not trying to denigrate anything. you think there's a bright future in cryptocurrency?
Not all of them, but definitely. I mean, I work in cryptocurrency. I develop the protocols. So yeah, I think there's the idea, right, of cryptocurrency, the initial founding principles of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, the cypherpunk mentality, anarcho-capitalists, all those things have been lost more recently, especially in Bitcoin and all of the big cryptocurrencies. But, you know, there's still projects alive that are actually keeping that. And, you know, if we keep the principles of cryptocurrency, which is freedom, freedom from all this shit and decentralization, right? Like, I definitely think it can create a much better future than we have right now. I mean, look, the problem of everything that we're seeing is centralization of power, right? So decentralizing that power as much as possible, I think, is really fucking important. But cryptocurrency has lost touch with that mentality, right? All these new coins are scaling with centralized protocols, like even to the point where projects like Steam got completely owned by Justin Sun from Tron, right? I mean, there's lots of shit out there, but that doesn't mean that there's not projects out there that are still working on fulfilling that dream and fulfilling those cultural issues, right? Which is kind of what we work on. And I think that's just an important component of it. So is there a bright future for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies like that? No, Bitcoin's been compromised since 2014. I mean, by Blockstream and a lot of other shit. Like, it's already run by the banks. That's why there's a block size issues. That's why there's a 45,000 transaction backlog right now, because that's going to force people to have to use the Lightning Network and all this other bullshit. But for other projects that are been true to the principles of decentralization and network effects, I think those are the ones that are going to succeed. And if they succeed, I think they're going to be the ones that can really shape the way that we do things in the future, right? And I think the world is crying out to this thing that it needs it.
Colin, you broke up for me a little bit there. Which one do you say you think there's a future in? Which cryptocurrencies do you think there's a future?
I think there's, I mean, not to be too biased, but what I work on, definitely, like Nexus, Komodo. I mean, the ones that start collaborating and cooperating together and really keeping true to the decentralized technology and network effects are going to be the ones that are going to be successful. But the ones that continue to go just fall into the old age mindset, right, are going to be the ones that fail. And the old age mindset is centralization, right? And, you know, fame and fortune and all that shit, right? Like, crypto wasn't here and created to just make people money. It was created to free us from economic systems that are failing, right? And so if we don't keep those principles, these principles true, then yeah, there's no fucking point. So, like, you know, is there a future for Bitcoin? I think I compare Bitcoin to be kind of like a tube, right? A vacuum. Back in the day, right, when computers were the size of rooms, it's because they didn't have a transistor yet. They had just what's called a vacuum tube, right? And they could be about this big, right? So in order to do, you know, all these complex logic gates, you take rooms, right? Now, then they came up with the transistor, you know, 20 whatever years afterwards, which became small enough where you could shrink it and fit it in everybody's hand, right? And it lowered the cost. It lowered the barrier to entry, right?
Keep shrinking, keep shrinking, and keep shrinking.
Yeah, it lowered the barrier of entry, right? So, I mean, yeah, it's just, yeah. I don't know. I think there's a future, right? And the tube, right? The Bitcoin. Sorry, I lost my place. Bitcoin's like the tube, right? It's just too expensive. It's too clunky. It's slow. It's traceable. It's got technological issues, and these technological deficiencies are created on purpose in order to create the necessity, right, for Blockstream, right? And so all of that is just going to drive Bitcoin, I think, eventually to, you know, have another cryptocurrency dominate it. And then you have another really serious economic issue, which is the block reward halving. So every 210,000 blocks, or approximately 4 years, the reward halves. Now, it worked when you have an illiquid market and it's small, right? When I think one of the first halvings, it was like $1, right? So it only had to gain $1 for mining to remain profitable. Then the next time was, you know, $4. So it had to gain $4. And then the last one, or then it was 400 in 2016, so it had to gain $400. And then this last one, we were 4,000, so we had to gain $4,000 again. Now, in order for markets to move that high, especially as they become more liquid, it takes exponentially more resources. So when we get to the next halving, let's say Bitcoin's worth $40,000, and it needs to gain $40,000 on that, and it doesn't gain that, the hash rate's going to start dropping, miners are going to start jumping off, and it's going to start a death spiral because the Bitcoin difficulty doesn't adjust for 2 weeks. So if tons of miners just jump off all of a sudden and start mining Bitcoin Cash, right, because it's more profitable, then the Bitcoin blockchain is going to get slower and slower and slower and
Bitcoin
slower.
Cash.
Eventually,
Yeah.
Bitcoin Cash. I mean, miners follow profit, man. They don't. Some of them are, into the, idealistic nature of it, but most of them are just selfish, right? I mean, miners just want to find profit. So Bitcoin is profitable right now, and it's one of the more profitable ones. This is why it has most of the hash rate. But as soon as Bitcoin becomes less profitable, miners are going to jump off of that onto another one, like Bitcoin Cash. The reason they jump to Bitcoin Cash is because it's using the exact same hashing algorithm. And so if it becomes more profitable to mine Bitcoin Cash, they will, right? And if the Bitcoin blocks start getting slower and slower and slower, people are going to stop using it. There's going to be less fees. And I think that's going to be the beginning, not necessarily the end of Bitcoin, but I think it's going to be what is a unicorn moment that is going to cause some other dominant or cryptocurrency to dominate Bitcoin, right? But I think still, right, they've put the cart before the horse. A lot of cryptocurrency people, the tech is just not ready. It just can't do what they need it to do. Ethereum takes 25 seconds to confirm a block if you don't have an SSD. I mean, we're talking about massive loads of information that these things just cannot process. And it's passed off right now as saying, oh, well, blockchains are just inherently unscalable. But it's not necessarily true. It's that people in the industry are not innovative enough to find a way to scale it in a truly decentralized way. So now we're kind of seeing these cultural issues, right? Like combining together with all of it. So that's where when you say, do you see cryptocurrency succeeding? I think the way that certain cryptocurrency projects have been going, and that mentality of the tribalism, maximalism, and just retardedness and putting the cart before the horse and having technology that's being oversold and underdelivered, with Vitalik from Ethereum going around telling everybody you can do all these amazing things on the blockchain when Ethereum can't even, do 1 + 1 = 2. And that mentality is going to, I think, eventually be the destruction of many projects. But the mentality of networks, the mentality of cooperating with people, of developing technology that is sufficient and secure, and having a professional image and fixing this juvenile cultural image. I mean, the project that pulls that off is going to be the one that I think eventually rises to prominence, because currencies are they're just dying right now. I mean, and they're trying to do a global financial reset and all that stuff and get rid of, all the cash, but it's just, I just see it as a losing battle for them, man. And, eventually there is going to be a new technology that does overtake the rest of the technology that we have. And that's going to be one that has to be easy to use, right? Where you can't lose your keys. Right? I just looked at a study. 20% of every fucking Bitcoin address has been lost. They have found 20% of all Bitcoins have been lost because the private key.
Because I had a Bitcoin account going for a bit, but I never made anything on it, and I just let it go. Oh, by the way, we have some chats questions. Someone said you have a Viking look. I think it's a compliment. Question: when was the last time? Oh, this is from Donald Angry. Question: when was the last time we ordered the Fort Knox? I think that was the question.
Audited Fort Knox?
That Nathan would probably know that, but I mean, I don't think they do audit it, and even if they did, I'm sure they're fucking lying, just like Tether. Like, I mean,
all I know about Fort Knox is you go out that road, out Dixie Highway, there's nothing but army surplus stores and strip clubs. Yeah, I live in something.
And you have to audit every single one of them.
oh fuck!
Fort Knox is like 45 minutes from me, and I think it's near Knob Creek, isn't it? Or no, maybe not quite near Knob Creek. You know what Knob Creek is?
Yeah, the distillery.
Well, there's that too, but there's a big machine gun shoot.
I never heard of that.
Look up Knob Creek machine gun shoot. Definitely, it's a fun place to go. Definitely wear hearing protection. I have to admit though, some of the people who show up in the fair market are some racist motherfuckers.
Hey, I just noticed, and I don't have a blue check mark, but I just noticed that none of my tweets are going through right now. So
that's probably because they just did a blanket security just to stop all tweets because they can't figure out they're fucking running around like chickens with their heads cut off. So like, turn everything off so they can't do anymore. Probably, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, I think so because I'm trying to pump traffic to the show.
Yeah. That's pretty funny though. I mean, dude, that's like this just isn't your average hack, man. Like, I mean, I think they maybe socially engineered an employee at Twitter that seems like probably the most probable.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a nation state attack.
You think nation state?
Well, think about it, because all it does is it goes, okay, we can take down heads of industry, we can take down politicians, we can defame the competing currency, and also we're blanketing ourselves, like the cloth we're wrapping ourselves with is that it's the dumbest, shittiest, most juvenile fucking crypto scam that there is.
Oh no, that's why it didn't really. I mean, it makes sense for like the destruction of the image of Bitcoin, right, as a nation state attack. But
Yeah, flatten the curve of adoption.
But the NSA, bro, they fucking love using Bitcoin, dude. They've been using it for a while. And I mean, 2014 when they created Blockstream and the block size debate and all of that fucking Bitcoin maximalism shit, they've already compromised Bitcoin. So wouldn't you think that they'd be trying to devalue something else that they didn't already have compromised? I mean, Bitcoin.
No, because Bitcoin is the bear in the room, right? So, or not, I'm sorry, the elephant in the room. If you can take care of that one, you don't have to worry about the other ones. Monero doesn't matter. Zcash doesn't matter. Nothing matters if you can fucking destroy Bitcoin. Nobody's heard of Zcash.
Yeah. I guess
Zcash is huge. Nobody's heard of Zcash. Adrian, have you ever heard of Zcash?
Maybe I'm fronting here. I vaguely recall hearing something about it, but I don't know shit about it. Then again, I don't know shit about Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency, so that's I'm ignorant on that entire field.
Okay, all right, fine, but no, let's talk about your let's talk about your history. So you have how many years of being the guy going around and recording every goddamn security conference?
I think my career on that started in like 2008 or so, doing Louisville InfoSec. And then when DerbyCon came around 2011, they bought me a bunch of video equipment to record DerbyCon, and I take it every place else. Not that I have crazy motherfuckers trying to deplatform me from doing that. Not that I'm harming anything, but I hurt their feelings on Twitter.
not difficult.
But yeah, 2010 was when I really took off doing a lot of recording.
Okay, well, so then, but you were in the security industry long before that. But so your recording career has been as long as like Bitcoin's entire lifespan.
I guess so.
Well, so if you work in the security industry, right, and Bitcoin is pretty much just a bunch of functions made out of the SHA-256 algorithm, right? So a security tool, and you know this little about it, then what do you think that like Joe Sixpack fucking knows about it at home? He doesn't know
anything at all.
Dick.
I mean, there was a gentleman named Bob Weiss. We joke about it because we always joke that his wife must be Alice if he's Bob. But he gave a great talk at a couple of conferences about Bitcoin, and I understood some of it, and then it went out of my head. Most of my investments are in S&P 500. How do I put it this way? I still kind of trust currencies backed up by governments with guns. But
at least you're honest about it.
But I probably should look into diversifying that somewhat.
I would, brother.
Yeah, now's not the time for that. You might want to look for some alternatives.
I'm a very old man.
Have you heard of gold? Because we could start there.
I know of gold. I also know of guns. Guns hold value.
Fully automatic guns hold value. Suppressors hold value.
I don't have anything with suppressor enabled. No, I have nothing that has a threaded receiver. Not threaded barrel, I should say. Yeah, keep in mind, Nathan, you're a little bit more ANCAP than I am.
ANCAP, dude? Did you just hit me with ANCAP?
ANCAP, aren't you? You're vaguely ANCAP, aren't you?
No, I am 100% thoroughly. I believe that government intervention in any market spoils that market.
Yeah, I'm not quite as far along as you are on that particular mark, but I'm definitely a minarchist. I don't. Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to do a show and tell real quick? You want to see something cool?
What you got?
I have this bottle. I don't know how well I can get the light on it. It's called Corby's Reserve, right? And on the back, it features a parrot. And if you look up here on the neck, you can see a shit ton of just trash dust. And then you can see these old tax stamps on it, right?
Tax stamps?
Oh, yeah. From 1956. I found 3 crates of booze in my dad's basement from 1956.
That's older than the stuff I found from my uncle. My uncle had some booze that was older than I was, and I tried drinking some of it, but I puked very shortly thereafter.
I found a bottle of corn whiskey, and it just has a picture of a piece of corn, and it says PM, and that's it. That's the whole label.
Okay then.
Found a lot of interesting stuff down there.
Did you?
Anyway, so
I mean, no offense. Did your dad pass away recently or something? Or
no, my dad didn't pass away, but he was holding on to stuff from generations ago that he should not have been. He should have gotten rid of.
Oh, my family's holders also, so I can understand that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's like, my dad's health isn't the best, and I don't want to get into my personal life. That's not the goal of being on the cast. But going through stuff with my dad's bad health, I realized that you keep stuff from your parents, but then any generation behind that, you get rid of anything other than things that you want to turn into heirlooms. So there's like this like hopscotch over a generation. So you love your parents, you keep their stuff, but you also know that it's the job of your children to throw most of that stuff away. And so my dad's dad was a hoarder, and a lot of stuff had to go.
What's the George Carlin joke? Something about your house becomes just a place to store shit. Your house becomes
yeah.
There's a George Carlin joke about your house basically becomes a pile of shit at your house that you keep. And I need to get rid of that. And my brother, or hell, I need to get my brother to throw some shit out. I worry about my brother sometimes.
Yeah. So does anybody? Who else is who do we got on here? Charles is on here.
Charles and Darren are the two people who haven't been speaking a whole lot.
Nathan.
Charles, you were looking at the Twitter script earlier, weren't you? Is that what you dropped in the chat?
No, I sent that. Yeah, they wanted me to send
No. In the Irongeek chat over on Twitter.
Yeah, I have a Twitter chat that's just the Irongeek Cast regulars.
Yeah, it's for everybody to stay on board, on top of stuff for show notes and stuff like that.
But you're not, Colin, just because, well, this is your first cast that you've been on.
Yeah.
If you want to be a regular, I can add you. But yeah, Nathan's in there, and Charles is in there, and Darren's in there.
So here's an interesting correlation that may be somewhat contrary to your opinion, Nathan. The Bitcoin obituary, right? There's only 2 in 2020, right? The last time we had this low of a number was 2012. Every year since there, it's been 17, 30. I mean, 2017 was the biggest with 124, right? But there's only been 2 actual statements about Bitcoin dying this year. It may be related somewhat to the pandemic and nobody gives a fuck, but
right.
Also looks like their pressure, right? They put a lot less pressure on trying to destroy Bitcoin this year for some reason.
Yeah, they've compromised it.
Yeah, it's what I was saying. That's why I don't. I mean, based on the logistics, right? I mean, I understand the elephant in the room and yada yada, and you got to kill it, right? But I mean, on the other side of the coin too, Bitcoin's a superior technology than the rest of their shit, and that's why they wanted to compromise it, right? And that's why they created the Lightning Network and all that other dog shit, which really ends up creating a banking system with a cashless society, right? So, I mean, I'm not necessarily convinced that it may be a nation state attack, but that would make sense with the script kiddie type Bitcoin scam mentality going on. But like, it's either that or there's something more. I mean, I don't know. It's
also keep in mind that all of the coins that are used in this attack, right? So there's stuff like CoinJoin and there's mixers and there's all types of stuff, and you can reuse those coins. However, you could go like if it was a nation state attack, they could very simply say, okay, well, we're watching the addresses that are holding these hundreds of thousands of dollars in Bitcoin, and if they move, we're going to arrest the people. And it's like, okay, you've effectively burned those Bitcoins. You have them in your wallets, but you lie and say that it's somebody else. But if somebody moves them, then you'll arrest them. It's a burn.
Explain to me what nation states are trying to attack Bitcoin. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying what.
Well, I mean, so you had Lynn Ulbricht on the show, and I fully believe, and I think I said it that on your cast. I said Ross Ulbricht is serving Satoshi's time.
Yeah.
So the idea was to go, okay, this guy's bad, this guy's violent, this guy did all this stuff that was very untrue, and then they said, and also Bitcoin, and the idea was to flatten the curve of adoption.
Yeah, but
and then
I remember 2013, bro, like when they did the Silk Road and they tried to make it look all scary and bad.
Yeah, but the thing is
that's when it blew the fuck up, man.
The Silk Road was the big one. That's what everybody puts their attention on, and there was so much more. I have a guy whose initials are MS, right? He's a good friend of mine, and I'm not going to say his name because he won't record talks because he's just very afraid, right? Nothing very, very terrible happened to him. He had got his door kicked in by a bunch of feds. This was a nice old man that used to go down to his county library on the weekends and teach people about Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
And the feds set him up with a transaction. This is, again, in that same time of 2012, 2013, when they were doing all these executions.
Yeah,
but
2014, 2015 too.
He had all the security cam footage of his doors getting kicked in by these armored guys. The locals cops showed up and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? This is a fucking retired guy. I don't want to give away any of his shit. But I mean, Charlie Shrem, it's like anything that you do. The FBI goes, okay, well, if you get ransomware, you should pay it. And it's like, okay, yeah, you should pay ransomware. And then it's like, because that's the only, because we're impotent, we can't do anything. Just pay the ransomware. That's the only way to unencrypt your shit. However, if you pay ransomware, you're also in violation of KYC law. And it's like, well, which one is it, you cocksuckers?
Yeah.
I'm a criminal or I'm a criminal?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've seen sponsored nation state attacks. Like, I mean, they've been doing that on Nexus for a long time. Like, and they're very sophisticated, and that would make sense if this is a really sophisticated attack, or it could be a rogue aspect of the NSA. Because the NSA is somewhat decoupled from the rest of everything now, especially after Trump, the CIA, NSA, and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how their black budgets are going right now, but I mean, it could make sense to try to destroy it, but it doesn't look like it's lining up to that. Like, I mean,
what is the I could keep in mind I'm ignorant of all these things. What is the nation state case against Bitcoin? Why do they want to attack it?
Any nation state, I'm not talking about the United States, any nation state does not permit competing currencies. So South Korea, their entire thing was they made all exchanges drop Ethereum and ERC20 tokens for a period, and because they were protecting the people. They weren't protecting the people at all.
Yeah.
They just wanted to flatten the curve of adoption.
Well, yeah, and Trump has already gone out and spoken against Bitcoin too on Twitter, saying that it's full of hot air and worthless and blah, blah, blah. I mean, they're just scared because it's a superior technology. And it solves so many of the issues, like T+3, stocks went clear for 2 days. I mean, you have international wiring and bank system. I mean, and then fucking Wells Fargo just had a whole server bank like burn up like a while ago too. You know, I mean, they go down. Your debit cards go down. Like, it's just absolutely terrible technology. I mean, when you start really understanding how all this stuff works, even like the technology of the internet, you'll understand why this shit is going around all the time. I mean, DNS is really not much more sophisticated than passing around a text file. I mean, it's better now, but it used to be really, really horrible. So, I mean, yet they don't want another currency, especially when it's decentralized, to be prominent, because one of the ways that they exist is by printing money, right? Everybody puts their sweat and blood into earning their dollar or whatever else, and that is what gives the value to the dollar. And then they're zapping that energy or that money off of everybody through hidden taxes like inflation, income tax, and all that other shit. And so they definitely, like, that's their bread and butter, man. They've got an entire economic system by the balls, and they don't want to lose control out of that. I mean, it's a lot of money that can be made off of billions of people in an economic sense, right? So Bitcoin has potential for that, but you know.
So Adrian, you might not know this. Did you know that blockchain existed long before Bitcoin?
As a technology, I've had a vague idea of it, but no, I never really thought about it much before.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people go, okay, it has value as a currency, but they don't think about all the other value that it provides. And I know Colin's going to be able to go off on this topic, but it was originally written by two very libertarian developers over at AT&T. Or was it Bell Telephone back then, Colin?
We're talking about B money.
Haber Stornetta. Haber Stornetta, I think it was in 91.
Are we talking about B money?
No, no, not cryptocurrency at all. We're talking about Surety, the original blockchain. So these guys wrote the original blockchain, and their purpose was to go, we want to make internal documents, completely and totally like inalterable and immutable, and store them in hashes. And so they did this, and then they opened it to the public, and they called the product Surety. And for many years, what they did, the way that they ran it was they anybody could store whatever they wanted in whatever hash, and a block size was 1 week long. And then every, I think Sunday it was, in the New York Times, they would post the hashes of the different zones, and then you could reference the lost and found section in the newspaper to go and see these immutable documents. But it was AT&T or Bell, and it was these guys. It was Scott Stornetta and Stuart Haber, I think their names were. But it's really funny because people look at Bitcoin as though it's like this amazing technology that this guy's built, and it's like,
I mean, cipher blockchaining's been around since the 70s, bro. Like the original cipher blockchaining algorithms.
I saw Charles popping in there for a second. Where'd he go?
It looks like Bell broke up in 1982, so I'd have to imagine it was AT&T.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing other cameras come to life.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, Frank's in the mix. What's up, Frank?
What's up? Gotta finish the date.
Oh, you just got out of a date?
Yeah. It went pretty well, but I didn't get a kiss at the end of the date because she's afraid of COVID.
Oh, well.
No fun.
No fun. But I will get one eventually.
Am I the only person that's this? I think the COVID thing is overblown.
Maybe just a little bit.
I say that now, and now see me on a respirator next week. But I have friends who are like definitely scared of catching COVID, and I'm not in a particularly bad demographic. I'm overweight. Other than that, I'm not in a particularly bad comorbidity for COVID.
You smoke and drink.
I do drink. I vape. I don't generally smoke.
Didn't you used to be a pretty heavy smoker?
Not really.
Okay.
At least not tobacco. Let's leave that as it is.
Got it. No. I got it. I mean that those things do increase your risk a bit.
Yeah, they do.
Especially smoking. That's the big one because it affects your lungs. But yeah, I mean, you're what, 43? I think you said
45.
45. So a little borderline there for that risk.
Yeah, I have a friend. She's in her 60s, and she's. What the hell is that sound?
Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta.
Okay.
I live right next to a very, very small airport. So I get all these little turboprop planes, right? But it's amazing because on the weekends this time of year, I get all like these like little Red Baron airplanes and like all these cool P-51 replicas and like really, really cool airplanes flying over all the time. I'm accustomed to it. Sorry, I forgot about it.
It's all good. Now, Frank, you're in Las Vegas area, right?
Fuck no, I'm in New York.
New York, okay. Shit, okay, I don't know why I thought Las Vegas for some reason.
Because the last time you saw me was in Las Vegas.
That is possibly true. You know those crazy motherfuckers who are still trying to do a DEF CON-ish con, and they're going to show up in Vegas still.
No way. Why would they still show up? There's no fucking talks going on, no nothing.
They just want to hang out, yes. I mean, the friends of mine, I mean, I halfway considered going out myself just to hang out because, dude, I've been shut in and I don't have social interaction, and I miss my conference people. Though some of the conference people hate me, but you know.
Let's all go to Arizona next week. Colin, how's that sound?
Everybody party at Colin's house.
Oh, he's got us on mute, that son of a bitch. Yeah, no.
What? You guys want to party at my house? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, no. These guys are going like, oh, we miss conferences. We want to go to the conferences. I'm like, yo, let's come out to Arizona.
Yeah, well, we were just doing one, and
we have 5 hours to salvage it.
Yeah, well, I'm still trying to. I mean, I kind of like fucking told him, you know, like, what the fuck, bro?
He's just,
you know, like, you fucking broke on your word and all this shit because we had this venue that was gonna rock, and then it had to fall.
You were planning a conference or something?
Yeah, well, we had it all put together and everything, and then the venue just fell through last night, so we're still looking for alternatives and stuff. But
I just got this.
What?
It goes, Nathan, oh, you're so handsome. No, it's like the venue. I heard the venue fell through, and I was like, yeah, late last night. We were going to shoot for a new one. I'm on a podcast now. I'll send out the kill order right after. It's like this thing's dead in the water. No, guys, everybody on the cast, it was absolutely brilliant. So we had gotten a conference together, but the thing that was really nice about it was we had experts and heads of industry from a lot of different fields, right?
Yeah.
That you would feel as though if I listed them to you that they didn't really have a commonality. But the idea was to get these people together and everybody get to know each other by doing like, you know, their talks, and then go, okay, well, what is this new future going to look like? What is this new thing that we're going to do look like? But these were all very influential, important people that had abilities at their fingertips to help contribute to keeping order in all this government-sponsored chaos.
Yep. So if the venue comes through, we might still go with it. I mean, he told me I can call him and talk to him. I was just
I had a conference planned this September, but that fell fucking through because of the COVID-19. Because very few tickets sold, and I put it off till 2021. So considering what the community has become, I kind of wish I never tried to start a new conference because, man, people are fucking with me.
Philadelphia today, just at 3 p.m. this afternoon, or 3:30 p.m., our governor came on and put half of like the gag order back in place. Restaurants can only be at 25% capacity. You can only consume alcohol if you're at a table and if you have bought food, right? And it's all this stuff, and it's just like, just put the people out of work. Don't play with these waiters and waitresses. Either let them be poor and unemployed, but don't do this to them. That's wrong. And don't do this to the food supply and the food supply chain. Either there's a huge pork roast sitting in the fucking fridge waiting to get prepared for customers, or throw it in the trash and wait for a reopen. This is very, very at this point, it's just like psyops, man. It's just really, really gross.
See, I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. Are you more into the reopen everything, or what is your opinion?
No, my opinion is science, and so it changes often. Policy ought not try to follow science. it's not as maneuverable. It comes with a threat. Policy is a bad idea. I don't like it. So I'm not pro mask and I'm not anti-mask. It's just like, okay, you're allowed to choose your own level of like threat detection, or you can stay home if you want.
I mean, they're trying right now. I've seen it happen many times before when people in power are losing their power, right? They do everything they can to try to regain it, right? I mean, I've dealt with fucking corporate takeover attempts and dickheads from all sorts of industries and had to fight them off. And this is the signs, right, that they know their power is coming to an end. So on one side of it, right, they're trying to reestablish the power by basically suppressing everybody, but they've made some serious strategic errors, such as quarantining healthy people, right? Their aim was to, scare people and, show people that they're controlling them and whatever else. But, what happens when healthy people are stuck home without jobs? Well, they're going to fucking research and you're going to start figuring things out, right? So it's just like there's so many backfires on so many levels. And the pharmaceutical industry is a dying industry as well. I mean, it's purely based off of just isolating active ingredients out of any type of plant. I mean, I think 99% or something like that of pharmaceutical medications are derived from a plant. And as people are becoming more aware of all of these herbal medicines that exist, right? My friend that's a naturopathic doctor and has her own clinic, they're actually threatening her now, saying that if she shows or talks about any alternative treatments, talks about ozone therapy, ultraviolet therapy, things that are actually effective, then she could be fined, right? So pharma is definitely something that's behind a lot of this agenda, but like on one side of it, it can look frustrating because it's the world kind of going to shit in some ways. But on the other side, the bright side of it is that they know their time is up, and that's why they're spraying out all the bullets. And I mean, Arizona just tried to put out their new gag orders and all that shit. I mean, some people they're pretty aggressively trying to shut down businesses, from what I hear now around here, and fining people and putting red tapes and shit. But like, there's going to be a point, right? Like where it's just not going to work anymore. And it's already been that way. Like the mask order they put out, the Phoenix police said that they weren't going to enforce it. There's so many different jurisdictions that are saying they're not going to enforce any of these things, right? So, I mean, on one hand, like, yeah, it's kind of shitty, but on the other hand, like, I mean, it's signs that the world is changing for the better. And that's kind of one thing that we wanted to really capture with this conference, is to help people realize, wait, there's a lot of problems right now, but we got solutions, right? And come help us kind of envision what this future is going to look like together, because we are going through a lot of significant changes this year. And I think by 2021, the world is going to be a much different place. Not necessarily COVID and chips and all that shit, right? Because I think this is going away. And I also think, too, there is too many people on the planet to be able to track everybody like 1984. There's just not enough computing power, right? And CPUs are just... I don't think there is, man. I don't think there is to get 7 billion. Like, I mean, bro, I've been building indexes and database systems that can handle billions of keys, and it's fucking ridiculously different. Like, they can maybe have petabytes or whatever, but I mean, you've got quantum tunneling that's already happening with CPUs, right? And that's why we're just going and adding more cores. They can't really put much more in there. They can't increase the clock speed very much. They're working on quantum computing, but I think they're at a point where, yeah, AIs can work and they can have computing power to go, but to get the full-fledged 1984, everybody's tracked, watching everything, I just don't think there's enough power to do that. And that's why.
What if I took what you were doing, right? What if I took what you were doing and I don't know, I gave you like $2 billion in budget for manpower for 3 years, $5 billion in budget for hardware. Do you think you could do a little more damage then?
What are we talking about? What type of damage?
Surveillance.
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean,
who saw that headline the other day? It was like Babylon Bee or The Onion or something like that, and it was like, new social media outlet is just children filling out personal data. It's like that's the entirety of the website, is they just fill out all the personally identifying information.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still think, like, for the level that they want, like, I think there was a need for depopulation, and I think there's too many people right now, and that's one thing that they're afraid of, is there's too many people that are uprising. I mean, that's why they needed a war in 2016, along with this pandemic and everything. So, I mean, I just personally, I mean, even Facebook and whatever, I mean, that services people, but I mean, they've got so many massive data centers that are buried and everything, and Facebook's running MySQL and all this other bullshit too. Like, I mean, Yeah, I just don't think it'll work the way they want. I mean, IP version 6 isn't even propagated, right? So they can't even get that many devices. To get that, they wanted the 5G in order to get millimeter wavelengths, to get more sophisticated tracking and everything. But I don't know. I just think that the full-fledged everything is absolutely traced like down to the millimeter, the sweat on your face and everything. I just don't think there's enough of that for every single person, man. I mean, think about if every person's a terabyte, right? I mean, then it's probably way more than a terabyte of data, but 7 billion people, right? I mean, that's 7 petabytes. I'm sure they have that type of capacity, but I mean, that's just disk storage, right? When you're talking about like facial recognition algorithms, watching everything, tracking everybody's movements, I mean, I just don't think that there's enough to do all of what they want to do. Now, it doesn't mean that they can't track people, right? They can track the fuck out of people, but
Right, targeted attacks.
Edge 1984, I just think there's too many people. I mean, there's not even enough fucking IP addresses for one every person, right? Like, what the fuck then? You can't even trace everybody's identity that way, right? I mean, it's just, yeah. There's only 4.3 billion IP addresses in IP4, right? So it's just architecturally, I just don't think it all will work. And that's part of like this, people say like, oh, the powers that be, whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't think they're as great as everybody thinks them out to be. I mean,
no, I don't either. I don't either.
Architecture is seriously flawed, right? Like, I mean,
Adrian Chipper
using their banking system seriously flawed, right? Like all of their technology is really flawed. It just, so that's what makes these cryptocurrencies and new economic systems so dangerous is they're actually sophisticated technologies that can't be with, right?
Adrian,
this may be new news for people. I just saw Dave Kennedy post a couple hours ago. Twitter got seriously hacked and is going at the moment. Bezos, Obama, Biden,
Yeah, that's pretty fun hack right there, guys.
A ton more is coming as we speak, all hacked at the same time. This is much different than the traditional account takeovers. Consider Twitter owned at the moment. Apparently, Dave is tracking some weird shit happening on Twitter. That might be related to the Bitcoin stuff you posted earlier.
I think
it was the Bitcoin thing. It was send me Bitcoin and I'll double it. On like they were posting it from all these famous accounts.
Well, the thing is, when I first saw it from Musk, right? I saw it in the chat, and from Musk, it kind of made some sense, even though it made no sense. But from Musk, it made sense because he does have a link to cryptocurrency. When you see something like that attached to Joe Biden,
yeah, well, I mean, it seems targeted. You look at the people who's mostly liberals that were targeted.
Yeah, the theory right now is that like a Twitter support console got hacked and they used it to take over a whole bunch of accounts.
but you figure there was more like nefarious stuff they could do.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter, the support console being hacked that does not make any sense. Because these are pretty high caliber accounts. Right? You're not going to have a list of these many high caliber accounts all just accidentally giving their credentials to support. It's definitely, I don't think that.
And also, a lot of those accounts probably have MFA on them, so they had to bypass that or turn it off as well.
Yeah, it has to be a compromising of the entire core architecture of the system. I mean, I don't think it's a database breach. Like a database breach would only give you password hashes, like multiple factor authentication. Like, it could have been something as stupid as just like cookie hijacking, right? But I mean, I doubt that would even happen. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
A while back there was the ability to post as another Twitter user if you knew their phone number, if you could spoof their phone number. But I think that's been patched.
Yeah, that was turned off like a year ago. I immediately thought of that incident when this happened, but that was shut off like a year. Like they completely shut the whole system off.
Mm.
Affiliation rights also speaking about the Oh, Frank, you mute yourself when you're not speaking.
I'm sorry, say that again, Adrian.
Can you mute yourself when you're not speaking? You got a lot of background noise. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I love you in a mostly head away. Mostly. I'm not saying I won't branch out. You know, I'm a little lonely. No, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. This back. What were we talking about before?
We were talking about how exactly this happened, spoofing somebody's phone number. I mean, multi-factor authentication stuff. I mean, like it just doesn't look like any type of support. Like to me, it just looks like somebody on the inside had to have done something.
I think April Wright is also tweeting about compromised Twitter accounts.
They had to have compromised the internal Twitter system.
I mean, I basically said something like that in the group chat because the odds of actually hitting all these high-profile accounts with the same attack at once is damn near improbable. It borders on the obscene.
Exactly, and like the social engineering too usually only catches the idiotic people, right? So I mean, the fact that these are billionaires and major political leaders, like they're not going to be fished.
Who have spokespeople working for them? They either have teams or individual people who actually are tweeting on their behalf.
Yep.
So the only reason my account hasn't been fucked with is because I'm just not interesting enough.
Probably. I mean, let's face it. If you're verified, you're going to have a lot of more Twitter traffic. So you're a high profile. You're going to get more people responding to the scam.
I mean, do you feel marginalized, Adrian, that you weren't part of this?
A little bit. I tried to get verified a while back. Other people with less followers than I've got have been verified. I don't know why I can't get verified. I know it's purely egotistical, but I don't totally understand Twitter's system.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the list of people, right? Like, I mean, they targeted Joe Biden, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. I mean, if you look at like who's the shit of the shits more recently, like there's Bill Gates, there's Joe Biden. Jeff Bezos hasn't been as controversial, but I mean, if you look at what happened on the stock market collapse in March, it was Apple. It wasn't Apple, sorry. It was Microsoft and Amazon and a couple other companies that actually did not end up having, a stock crash, right? So, I mean, I know, Nathan, you think this is still a nation state something. I mean, I feel like there's something more to it than just that. And I don't think it's necessarily like just trying to discredit. I mean, it may not be trying to discredit Bitcoin in the name of destroying or discrediting cryptocurrencies. But I mean, I understand that discrediting Bitcoin discredits a lot of the other ones. But I mean, on the other side of the coin too, there's a lot of Bitcoin already being discredited within the industry. And there's a lot of people that may want to see some there. But like, it just the sophistication of the attack versus the actual implementation with the shitty, stupid little scam. Like that's the inconsistency that just doesn't necessarily make sense to me. It's not just like some little script kiddie attack, but it looks like a script kiddie did it. Like, which could very well be, I mean, somebody may have actually made a significant breach and then somebody else, a script kiddie, found that and just was like, I'm going to go press the Bitcoin scam and, fucking ruin the 0 day. I mean, that could be very well just one of the things, but it looks like these people are specifically targeted, not necessarily for the volume and people of followers they have, but for their political standpoints, right?
Right.
I mean,
So
you got like
I'm thinking about the people that you had just mentioned, and Musk doesn't fit in. Musk doesn't fit in with the other ones.
Well, Musk has created some negative. I mean, he's created some negative insights into him. I mean, he's been waking up. There's been a lot of conspiracies about him when he started waking up. There's like the whole, his girlfriend Grimes or whatever is manipulating him and all sorts of crazy. I mean, he's been out of character. He did say the Tesla stock is too high, which caused it to crash in value, right? So, I mean, he could be on that shit list because this person grouped him in with all of these guys. And in a way, he is in bed with the rest of them. Solar City's completely subsidized by government credits, right? Tesla's barely become cash flow positive. I mean, he's not necessarily like the person that everybody makes him out to be as the savior of the world. He's just somebody that's fucking subsidizing his companies off fucking tax credits, right? So
here's a bigger question. Have you looked up for anyone else who has been infected by this other than those four?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the list right now. We have Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Joe Biden, Warren Buffett, Kanye West, Michael Bloomberg, Apple, Uber, and Jeff Bezos, and Barack Obama.
Okay. Well, I mean, Kanye West does not fit that mold at all.
I don't know, but see, there's a lot of
Yes,
like.
he does. Yes, he does. Yes, he
Isn't
does.
Kanye West seen as kind of an Illuminati shitbag? Sorry, Nathan, but
Listen, if the idea is to prove to the world, if the idea isn't to hurt these people, but to prove to the world that you can manipulate their accounts, and that these people depend on these accounts to be their voices, I think that is the goal. And it goes, okay, well, let's go after presidential candidates, Kanye, Biden. Let's go after heads of industry, Bezos, Musk. Let's go after people that are highly politically in a weird temperament, Gates, right? So who else do we have on the list? I think that the same methodology.
Gates is with the nation state, bro. He's pushing a lot of this COVID agenda and mandatory vaccines. I mean, his fucking patents were using AIs and biometric activity to fucking.
But Kanye's not.
Isn't Kanye seen though as somewhat of an Illuminati artist? From what I've understood, Kanye's seen as kind of one of those.
Well,
The hell?
Shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
Would shit start playing on my fucking phone? A friend sent me a hedgehog video, and then somehow YouTube started playing.
Are you gonna share the video? I mean, what are you just not gonna fucking share?
I can share it someplace. Let me see if I can figure out how to share it. My friend sent it to me on Facebook. It's a European hedgehog. It looks like it's trying to climb some stairs. Yes, I can look at hedgehogs.
Screen share.
I know various species of hedgehogs. I don't know if I'll screen share because I don't know what else will get shared along the way. But let me see if I can find. Shoot, where did he put this? I might as well go off the show notes since we don't have any. What the hell? Ugh. All right, my buddy Mac just sent some really weird images onto my Twitter feed. Wait, I'm probably logged into the. Am I logged into the wrong account? Okay, I'm gonna have problems finding it now because I have two Twitter accounts. Sorry, I have two Facebook accounts because I got zucked. All right, you may see this post at some point in time. Just continue on with the conversation because I'm retarded.
Why are you retarded?
Because I can't figure out how to use Facebook, apparently.
Oh, dude, Facebook is fucking retarded in itself, man.
I'll send the link in the chat. It's a
No, I need to see it now. You can't do this to everybody that's watching. We need to see it.
All right. Let's close all the windows that might be private and confidential.
This better be fucking adorable.
All right, let me see if I can share this. Wait, stop playing. Damn it.
Oh.
Can you believe I've been on the internet since 94?
See, every other video player, when you click on the video, it pauses the video. On Facebook, when you click on the video, it fucking goes full screen. It's like, I don't know why the fuck you do that.
All right, here's the hedgehog. You see my screen?
No.
You can't see my screen?
Does anybody else see it?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, no.
I see Hot Monkey Love.
All right, let me stop this thing. I'm gonna have to just send it in a chat because I can't seem to get it up on my screen. Yeah, there's some hedgehog love for you guys. All right, Colin, I know you're new to the cast. I have a thing for hedgehogs.
All right, brother.
It's a long explanation. Going back to a friend of mine,
brother.
she brought me booze, and I patted her on the head and said, "Thank you, nice hedgehog lady," because she's of Italian heritage, so she's dark complected, dark black hair, but she spikes it up and she puts yellow dye. She bleaches it yellow, and she has these spiky hair, and she looks like a freaking African pygmy hedgehog to me. And ever since then, I made fun of her for looking like an African pygmy hedgehog, and ever since then, I've collected African pygmy hedgehog pictures, doing whatever she's doing, and I send these pictures to her. Like, I'm flying in a plane. Here's an African pygmy hedgehog on a plane. Because that's the way my brain works.
Yeah.
But that particular video I sent, that's not an African pygmy hedgehog. That's a European hedgehog.
All right. I didn't think I'd learn so much about fucking hedgehogs today, man.
Well, there's multiple species. There's African pygmy hedgehogs. There's Algerian hedgehogs. There's European hedgehogs. There's Indian long-eared hedgehogs. There's Egyptian long-eared hedgehogs. And that's just a few species that I can name off the top of my head. I think there's I don't know. There's something in the probably at least 10 species of hedgehogs out there.
Yeah, I can't tell unless I hear their accent. I was up at this kind of this invite only weird little conclave event up in a very beautiful part of the New Hampshire shoreline a while ago. And so we there were all these people, and there were a few of us, and it was this old New England mansion and blah blah blah, and we're doing all this stuff, and everybody's introducing themselves, and the one guy was just talking about being a Marmot conservatives, and all he cared about was the topic at hand, and then other than that, marmots, which is a fucking groundhog.
So I'm just doing more digging on this. There's further correlations. A Democrat candidate, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she got hit too, man. This is it's definitely got a strong correlation towards Democrats, right? Which, nation state, right? It could be Trump related too. I'm not sure everybody's opinion on that, or it's something that's definitely not necessarily into the opinion of the Democrat. Why wouldn't they target Trump? Trump's got way more followers than these guys. Why wouldn't they use his account? They have access to all of these. What makes the Democrats so much more special than the others, right? Why would they be targeting them? And then why would they be targeting specific cryptocurrency ones like Bitcoin, Ripple, CoinDesk, Coinbase, and Binance, right? Generally those are going to be pretty big. But if you look at it like Ripple, CoinDesk doesn't have that many followers. It does, but it's not as much as Cointelegraph, right? Why don't they do Cointelegraph? Why don't they do CoinDesk, right? Cointelegraph's way more popular. So that's where I'm just saying the logic of this attack, the attack surface, it's very targeted in a specific reason. But what is the reason, we're not sure yet, or I'm not sure of yet. But it definitely, they could have done just about anything if they had this type of exploit, right? Where they're bypassing all this multi-factor authentication and everything. They pretty much had free picking, right? It looks like they had a lot of free picking as well. They got people like Bezos and everything, and Gates. So I'm kind of leaning towards the possibility that, it may not necessarily be a nation state sponsored attack. It looks like it could be the first of many. The only way to explain the utter juvenile type of attack with the Bitcoin thing, with the sophistication of attack coupled with it, I would say the only way to explain that is that they have not given everything that they have already, right? This would just be like a dry run, right? if it was somebody that was not necessarily nation state. I mean, but Nathan's logic of it being nation state does make sense in the sense of discrediting cryptocurrency, right? And I mean, in a sense, they did Bitcoin and Ripple, right? Which both of those are the ultimate banker coins. Why didn't they do Litecoin, or why didn't they do Ethereum? Why didn't they attack Ethereum? Ethereum, hey, can you mute that?
Hey,
Frank?
Frank, you think you can mute that?
All right. Yeah, but I mean, the nation state angle does make sense as far as discrediting Bitcoin. But I mean, why would they target Ripple and Bitcoin? Right? Ripple and Bitcoin are the banker nation state cryptocurrencies right now. So
All right, so no, I think the Ripple thing is clearly a retaliatory joke.
yeah, but why CoinDesk and not Cointelegraph? CoinDesk has less followers, right? Cointelegraph gets way more in volume, right? Why would they be picking, Barack Obama rather than Trump?
That is true, but
Did they
we
get Barack?
Musk, and Elon Musk is not exactly left politically, so I don't know.
No, but Musk has some recent controversies, right? I mean, and if you look at Elon Musk's track record, right? Like, I mean, my father co-founded SpaceX, so I go way back with Musk, right? And I met him a few times. I knew him before he was ever like, Elon Musk, right? And he had the original idea of buying Russian ICBMs to launch these mice to Mars. But Musk kind of has that mentality of Bezos as well, which is like, I own you, right? And he's only as effective as his most effective employee. And when you look at like Solar City, for an instance, right? Solar City was a completely government subsidized solar program where basically it had no profits. It was only making money off of alternative energy subsidies from the government. Tesla, I believe, was making a lot of money off of those subsidies as well. And SpaceX is a massive military contracting company. I mean, they've got billions of dollars in military contracts and International Space Station. I mean, so you could say pretty safely that Musk has been embedded with them for a while. Now, more recently, right? The last month or two, he's been speaking out against some of this tyranny. So he's made a little bit of a shift. But I've noticed that there is a lot of negative mentality towards him, especially, oh, you have a kid, you should be doing this. Oh, you're saying the Tesla stock is too high. I mean, so there is a motivation to include Musk in that list because he is high profile enough where he'd be somewhat effective. And he does have some shit that he's been reigning with. I mean, he's not the guy that's saving the whole world like everybody makes him out to be. I mean, it's just simply not true.
Okay.
So, I mean, this hacker, right, could very well have knowledge of that. Like, I have. It's not very difficult to find. Tesla, for an instance, right? Elon Musk did not start Tesla. He stole the company during the Series A financing round from the original two guys that created the first Tesla. And what he did is he used the gearbox in order to discredit them in front of the other investors while they're doing the Series A in order to get himself to become the CEO of Tesla. And then he got those guys to sign a nice little agreement that completely discredited themselves from ever founding Tesla so that he could go out and take over the Tesla image as his own. But he did not invent the Tesla car. He did not invent their electric motors. He did not invent how it all works. He didn't hardly do anything, but he did a hostile corporate takeover. And he managed to push those founders out. Now, that information is not incredibly difficult to find. So if we're talking about somebody that's doing something for a higher purpose, right, a seeker, right, like the guy that attacked the DAO on Ethereum or anything like that, I mean, including Elon in that list would not be illogical to me based on Elon's track record, right?
Okay, this is new information to me. Okay, thanks for the...
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know about this.
Yeah, not many people do, man, surprisingly. Elon did a good job at covering all that. Okay, so Elon's got 36 million followers. Let's see. Trump's got 83 million. I think Obama's got way less than Trump. Let's see. Let's see. Not able to find. Oh my God, Obama is terrible. A picture of him like with a kid. Oh my gosh, it's so disgusting. You know, Michelle Obama has a dick. Have you ever noticed that? Into it. She's got a little flopper that likes to. And he's called her Michael a few times accidentally too. Not sure if that's.
I mean, they were just
the evidence, man. It's kind of funny.
I've seen the memes, but I always assumed they were just memes.
No, man, if you look into it a little bit, like there's a lot of footage of Obama being like, me and my Michael, you know, accidentally just like completely slipping up on it. And then there's actually some videos with Michelle Obama, I think on the Ellen DeGeneres show with these white pants, dude, and you see this thing flopping in and out in there, man. It's just like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's kind of freaky, but it's just like, okay, well, that would kind of make sense. I mean, judging by what a lot of these guys like to do, you know, like, I mean, Tom Hanks, like, if you've seen his shit, it's fucking.
Wait, what's Tom Hanks into? I don't.
Oh, dude, so there's a lot of new evidence surfacing that he's actually into that whole pedo ring shit too. Like, I mean, if you look at his Instagram, dude, go to his Instagram actually right now. What it is, all it is pictures of missing children's clothes. And he says, oh, somebody's foot must be cold. Somebody must have a cold hand. And all he does is just take picture of like missing kids' clothes, basically, or like missing clothes. And there's a lot of other stuff too. I'd have to dig up all of the evidence, but I read up. I mean,
Kind of strange.
the other thing was when Ricky Gervais did the Golden Globe Awards. You remember when he just rang everybody out and was like, oh, well, you know, at least you're not a pedophile like them, or, you know, yes, Epstein didn't kill himself or whatever, right? And he did this whole thing like straight up in front of all of the people. And the best indicator of who is who and what is you see people's reactions, right? Like Robert De Niro and Al Capone were just like, yeah, they were just laughing like, that's fucking hilarious. You know, Tom Hanks though had this look on his face like, oh, like he looked scared shitless when they started talking about that in some of the sex clubs. And
He had a COVID-19 thing going on.
What's that?
I mean, we recovered from that shit.
What's that?
Tom Hanks. I know there was news a few months back about him coming down with COVID-19.
I think that's horseshit. I think too. Yeah, I mean, they did that to try to like they put a couple celebrities out with COVID-19 to try to really get everybody like, oh, COVID, scary, all this shit, you know. But there's also another video he did called Mr. Pumpkin or something, which is actually really fucking creepy. It's like got Tom Hanks dancing and slapping the asses of skeletons and like, hey, little kid, would you like me to help you find your way home? Like, and dude, it's kind of weird. Like, so yeah, I'm pretty sure Hanks is involved in all of that shit. Like I said, this is just evidence that I've reviewed. I'm not making any specific conclusions, but it does look like he's involved in that whole little being related to the COVID stuff too would make a little bit sense as well.
This lady who got arrested recently, Giselle, how do they put this way? She was supposedly Epstein's pimp or of a sort. Giselle, how do you say her name? I wonder what's going to happen to her. You know who I'm talking about? I don't. How's the name?
Sorry, I'm looking up. I'm looking up Twitter accounts right now. I can't find Obama's account, man.
There's some lady who was like something Giselle. She was like a secretary or something or another for Epstein, and apparently she hooked up a lot of his underage contacts. She's in jail now, and I wonder what's going to happen with her.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Shit's coming to light, man. Like, I mean, a lot of stuff from the Podesta Hillary emails are starting to really be dug out too. Like, I mean, all this shit that they've been doing is like really starting to come out, man. And I mean, it's good though. I mean, it's kind of it's what's meant to happen, I guess you can say. Like, we're going through a lot of shifts, right, as a planet.
That's still a thing. I thought those were pretty much all gone over, and I thought that was all.
No, they're still going with the Hillary stuff. There was actually during the riots, I think like a month ago, there was actually Hillary was on trial, but nobody, because of the George Floyd stuff, nobody really paid attention. But yeah, I think it's still going from what I've seen. Fauci, I don't think they've been pursuing anything against them. And all the, Trump lovers, Q people or whatever, like Trump's going to save us all. I'm not necessarily sure that's true. I mean, look,
I don't know.
It seems like they got into Trump in some ways. Like, he's definitely not a politician. Like, that was a puppet that they appointed, but I do think they do have some leverage on it because Fauci's not been taken out. I mean, some of this shit's still kind of allowing to fly around with like the unconstitutional, First Amendment suppression. If they could suppress their Second Amendment, they would, but they're doing their best with that. So yeah, I don't know. But I can't do. I'm looking right now for Obama's account and Twitter, and you can't find it. Like, they might have taken his account down. I'm not sure. But I'm just trying to correlate the number of followers with these guys, because if we're talking about somebody that's trying to monetize their interest in this attack, then they're going to be wanting to get people with more followers, right? Otherwise, it's showing that it's more of a statement, right? Which is what I'm kind of thinking. It's a statement, and I think Nathan agrees on that. But who is the one making the statement? That's the question. And if it's let's say a seeker that's trying to prove a point that's not nation state sponsored, why would they be trying to discredit Bitcoin? I mean, I could tell you why. My personal theory would be that Bitcoin is just a steaming pile of shit. Like, I mean, God bless it. I love that we've learned from Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was the first implementation of it. But what Bitcoin has become is not the Bitcoin that was created. It's banker coin and segregated witness and ridiculous 1 megabyte blocks. It's like when I was just looking on the block score right now, man. I mean, dude, 42,000 transactions are in backlog right now. Do you know that, Nathan? 42 fucking thousand. When I first checked the Block Explorer, I was looking at it to be like, okay, well, why are all these transactions unconfirmed? Like, is there some sort of censorship going with the miners? Is there some sort of coordinated anti-attack or something going on? Because nothing's been confirmed for like 4 hours. No, it's just because there's 42,000 transactions in backlog right now. I mean, fees have been shooting through the roof too. Like, which, I mean, I can only imagine how expensive it's going to be this time to send Bitcoin. It was like $150 to send a Bitcoin back in 2017. Because of this block size shit, So, I mean, the other side of it too is like, it may not be another cryptocurrency project, but it could be somebody that does see that higher purpose, right? I mean, in order to pull off an account like this, where you compromise some of the biggest accounts out there, like I personally think it's just, it doesn't come from any fucking idiot. And so the reason that they're posting this Bitcoin scam stuff, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me that it would be, just to monetize it. Like, Nathan was saying, like, he thinks it's nation state sponsored or something, but I'm not necessarily so sure, because the nation state right now, right, would be pro-Democrat because they're trying to get rid of Trump. So wouldn't they be using Trump's account, which it has way more followers, 80 million followers, or Barack Obama, I think when I saw it was like 20 million or something, right? So, I mean, if you're looking at volume of people, this was not about volume. This was not about followers. These were targeted people. And then we correlate this to all the COVID economic bullshit that happened, right? Where you have, Amazon and Microsoft were 2 of 4 stocks that did not collapse in March, right? Now, why are these 2 leaders, quote unquote, right, at the top of this list? And if you look at the kind of understanding of some of the nefarious activities going on behind the scenes, these people, it could be argued with Elon, but these people are involved in some way, shape, or form in a lot of those different things. So, I mean, I'm kind of going to stick with the theory that I think this is not nation state sponsored, and I think there's a purpose to it. I don't think it's just about stealing the Bitcoin. It's just somebody's making a pretty serious statement. Like, I mean, for one, letting these people know too that like there's somebody watching. I mean, for all we know, it could be some sort of well-known hacker group too. But I don't know. It just the pieces don't entirely mix. I have a feeling that we're probably going to have more of this revealed over time. I don't think we're going to know everything right now, because I think this was the first of quite a few disturbances that are going to be happening. And I don't know. I have a feeling that this isn't something necessarily nefarious against Bitcoin, but I think it's something that could potentially end up being positive in the long run, right? I mean, if we look at it too, right? Like, I mean, centralized systems, right? AKA Twitter. Here's the perfect example of why you can't have centralized systems. You have, the ability to control the information, censor it, right? And now look, they just penetrated Twitter, and now they've got all these people's accounts, right? Or if it were a decentralized, self-managed system, then this couldn't happen because there would no be central point to pollute. So, hopefully that this drives people to understand kind of some more of the necessities of decentralization, right? Not necessarily just like Bitcoin and crypto, but the principles of decentralization, which is what really drives a lot of the industry. And that's the most important thing that, I think is contingent, or the success of cryptocurrencies are contingent upon, is that decentralization and network effects. Because Just doing the same thing again, just with a new name, doesn't really bring any benefit to the world, right?
No, I'm going to stick with my guns, and I'm going to say that the very important thing about the entire thing, the takeaway from it should be that if you can scare people into saying that we can use Twitter to make Bezos say crazy things and Musk say crazy things and Biden say crazy things, then what we need to clamor for insanely is more control, more centralized control. The only reason that this could have been executed is because of lack of central control. This is not a war cry for decentralization. This will end up being a war cry for centralization.
I'm not saying it is, but I am saying that the way that it is targeted, it doesn't necessarily look nation state, because Bezos is fucking nation state, bro. Like, I mean, he's fucking nation state all the way. Fucking Gates is nation state all the fucking way. Like, they're not gonna fucking discredit themselves, right? I mean, they're not gonna use themselves to try to do that. I mean, that's what I think. You think they would? You think Bezos would just be a part of a hack and let his account get hacked? The guy's got such a fucking big ego, dude. Like, you wouldn't want anyone to think that, like, anything was ever even remotely compromised in his life. Like,
no, because the entire idea is, how do I get more control? How do I get more power? How do I get more?
I would just get them more control and power.
And then what you do is you martyr yourself. You make yourself a victim, and that's how you become more powerful. That's how you get people to rally behind you.
I see that. I can see that. I can see that. But here, let's look here, right? I'm just looking at Team Obama Biden on Twitter, right? And I just looked at my screen, and it's a tweet from Bloomberg, right? Which, you know, Trump has lost. The one remaining advantage he had with voters is 50% now saying they trust Joe Biden to do a better job managing the U.S. economy. And then it's got like a really, you know, like a bad Trump photo, right? So Bloomberg was targeted too. This looks like some sort of anti-Trump something. All these people are anti-Trump. That's definitely, I think, one correlation we can make, right? Not necessarily, I don't know if we can say for sure exactly who, right, or what their intentions would be specifically, but as far as like the profile of people that are targeted, most people that I've been witnessing are anti-Trump, right? So this is some sort of, it could be something correlated with Trump too, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, and that would fit in with your nation state theory too, which, I mean, yeah. No.
I remember many years ago when I first met Larkin Rose. It was about the time that Elon was coming out with Tesla. So Tesla was out to market, and Tesla had gone, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to patent all of our information, but we're going to leave it open for the public to copy. We're going to have it pretty much open source, but we want to have it, we want to legally protect it all, so we don't get locked out of our own information, so that other people can't copyright the and then so the end result of that was he pretty much copied the entire intro to Larkin's book, which always made me question, was he a full-on anarchist that was just using the nation state as a way to justify the means of bringing his ideas to fruition? Like, that guy's way too difficult of a read and way too powerful and way too unavailable to use as a metric for anything.
Guess so. I'm just looking at other shit. Just trying to put pieces here.
Now let's talk about Bezos. On the other hand, what is the most extreme case that we know about Bezos? Where did we see Bezos act as the human being Jeff Bezos, as the individual Jeff Bezos? Well, when his wife left him, and there was like that whole threat of like the dick pics coming out and stuff like that, and he was like, fuck it, put the dick pics out, and he didn't want to fucking pay the ransom. That was a huge move on his part.
Wait, the show has dick pics out there? What the hell?
No, no. Do you know about the threat? Yeah. So
not that I'm really interested in looking at a billionaire's dick, but I'm just saying I didn't know that there was some threat of something like revenge porn against him.
Yes, there was. There most certainly was, and he was like, "Do it, they tried to ransom him for dick pics, and he was like, "No, fuck you, publish them."
Somehow, I doubt that Badass Army will ever take up his case.
Look, think about the position he was in and what he had to lose. Now, if he lost a little bit less or if he lost a little bit more, would it have been that much of a discrepancy? At that point, you just have to be proud of the person that you see in the mirror.
Does he have a magnificent sized dick? I don't know. I haven't seen the pics.
No. I didn't see the pics either. I just remember when the story came out.
If I had a 12-inch penis and people wanted to leak my dick pics, I'd probably say, okay, go for it. I'm only average though. I'm 6'3" and
Maybe he's taking a lot of penis and larger pills.
I'm high side of average, but
sure.
right home about. Now y'all know more about my dick than you ever wanted to do. And it's uncircumcised too. Now you know that too.
Now I gotta check next time I see you. God damn it.
You know.
Worst cast I've been on ever.
Well, no, my dad was like, I'm uncircumcised, so my sons will be uncircumcised also. And that only became a real popular thing in the United States because of Kellogg.
Hey, bro, it makes it better for the chick, dude. So don't be ashamed of that.
Hold on a second. Frank's back at home, right? Check him out. Yeah, you.
Yeah, me.
Frank's back at home. I see him petting his chin. What do you?
Have I told you about my foreskin recently?
No, but you told us about your 5 skin.
Oh yeah, well, I know how to end a conversation, don't I?
Exactly.
I just, guys, going back to the original core thing. I don't understand why anybody believes that somebody would run this whole game and play that stupid sophomoric scam.
Dude, that's what I'm saying, Nathan. Like that, I don't think it's up yet. I think, dude, okay, if it's a sophisticated 0-day, let's in a hypothetical thought experiment, let's say it's not the nation state, and there's somebody that's doing this to prove a point for some reason or whatever, right? Let's just say that's the case, right? Then they're most likely not going to waste their best 0-day on something so fucking juvenile, right? So if that's the case, then they definitely have something else up their fucking sleeve. Like, I think they could be the first of many if that's the case. If it's nation state, then it's just some stupid fucking juvenile thing to try to make the Bitcoiners look like scammers, and then the victimization thing. And I mean, it does look likely that it would be sponsored because nation state is anti-Trump right now, right? And they're trying to destroy it. So make Obama look like it. And then they can maybe even create the whole, Trump hackers because no Trump people were attacked. It was only Democrats and tampering with the election and impeach and blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, that would make a lot of sense. But on the other side of it, too, like, if it's not that, like, and these are actually sophisticated hackers, I think they would probably have a little bit more up their sleeve than just that if they were just going to throw everything out for something so juvenile.
Charles, do you have any input, man? Because I know you were looking into this earlier.
Did you say Charles?
Yeah, I said Charles is gone, huh?
Yeah, Charles has been gone for a bit.
Frank, did you look into this at all?
Nope.
So you have zero thoughts on it?
My thoughts are it is very, very strange that they would perpetuate such a advanced hack and then do something as script kiddie-like as posting the Bitcoin thing.
Agreed.
Makes no freaking sense. There's like a giant why? Why would you do that? If you have access to all these people's Twitter accounts, why waste it? Why burn an O-Day to do something so stupid?
Exactly, something so valueless. Not only that, but burn it with such a simple scam, such a sophomoric, dumb scam.
That's why, I mean, if it is somebody that actually isn't nation state sponsored and they're proving a point, then there's more to come.
No, because I mean, look, listen, you need to have something absurdly valuable if you're going to follow up after this.
They very
Listen,
well maybe, or it could just be nation state. I mean, it's looking more and more likely like it is nation state.
I mean,
They've
look,
been
listen.
trying to take out Twitter for a while because it's been promoting a lot of free speech, right? I mean, they've been going after Jack and trying to take him out. So, I mean, it is looking very likely that it could be that. And if it's nation state, then it wouldn't be too hard because they don't even need a 0 day. They just fucking take the back door.
Imagine this. Think about a couple months ago when what the fuck, Musk. When Musk tweeted out that, okay, I think that Tesla's overvalued, and it dove 14 fucking percent. Why would this person not just wait another 3 months and do another thing like that, cause an entire dump, buy it, and then let it pump back up? Like,
Right. He could bet against
then
it and then let it. Yeah. He could short it.
Blue Horizon, and
I
then
think actually, now that I think about it, Nathan, I think you are right. I mean, the victim thing, to make them the victims, they're right now in the adversarial position, right? Where everyone's looking at these people as adversaries. So make themselves look like victims so that they can reinvigorate. Oh, we were victims to this horrible blah, blah, blah. Like, and that'll shift people away from, having such negative mindsets of these people. I mean, I'm starting to see, I don't know. It still doesn't feel like that's entirely it, though. I mean,
I don't feel I don't feel sated by it either. But the thing is if you consider what you're throwing away by executing this stupid exercise, right? If you think about what you're throwing away and what you could potentially be doing with it, not even for personal gain, but with more directed, more finely executed game. This is just dumb. It's just too sophomoric. It's so sophomoric that it's suspicious, and that's why we're all having this conversation. It's fucking suspicious.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I mean, the nation state one does make the most sense because they wouldn't even really necessarily need to compromise the system. There's just backdoors built into the system already. And the massive amount of media response to it as well is another indicator. And then all of the people that were targeted are generally somewhat the adversarial opinion in the public view right now. So this could be an attempt in order to make themselves look better.
Yeah, right. Well, when I say nation state, I don't necessarily mean like Republican because Trump's in office. I just mean that it's political in nature and exclusively political in nature.
Oh, this is absolutely political, 100% political. Yes, I agree on that. Like, I thought you were talking about NSA, CIA, nation state, but if it's anti-political, yes, this is some sort of political agenda, whether it's on the Trump side of the political agenda or not. It's made to look like Trump is the one that did it. And I'm guessing they might follow up with accusing Trump of hiring Russian hackers and whatever to do yada, 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 because they definitely like the Russian hacker thing.
Yeah, well, it's going to be funny because it's like, well, I mean, we can follow these addresses. We can see what bank accounts they're linked to. I mean, it's, there's people that are already digging into it right now. So we're going to know within the next probably 10 hours, if it's not
their
already
response too, like what type of news, what type of narrative they try to push out.
I mean, unless somebody just set up the wallet right now just for this thing, which they could have done.
Well, no, I mean, you would have to set up one wallet per transaction, and then you would have to consolidate them at some time. But the thing is when you go to cash out, when you go to turn it back into fiat currency, that's when you're going to hit like know your customer law, anti-money laundering law, and that's when it would become public, right? And so that was my argument earlier, Frank, you weren't here, is I was saying that the idea is if it was a nation state attack, that this would also be a way to burn a bunch of Bitcoin, take it off the market, get a bunch of people to fucking dump money into the people that they love, Elon Musk, Joe Biden, whoever, right? Bezos. And then take that, lock it up in wallets, and let it burn.
Wouldn't they use a more sophisticated and effective attack if they wanted to do that? I mean, right now it just looks like some fucking shitty Bitcoin scammer exploited a really shitty 0 day and wasted a bunch of fucking money on it. I mean, there's only 12.86 Bitcoins in that address, so it's like a little over 100 grand. I mean, it's it's pennies, dude. They'd have better luck.
No, it's not pennies. It's not pennies. If you're gonna flatten the curve, let's talk about that 100 grand. How many addresses did that 100 grand come from? How many people did you just scorn that never want to touch Bitcoin ever again?
363.
How many?
363.
Perfect.
That's nothing.
No, yes, it is.
That's
That's a
300
huge
people.
number of people. Think about how
300
many people, period, use Bitcoin. Not a lot.
I see about 30 million addresses, unique addresses.
And I have no idea how many dozen I've been responsible for. But the thing is
an average $275 per person is what it's looking like. The average amount that was positive.
so they just flattened the curve of adoption.
Not really, dude. It's only 300 people, bro. It was like
300 people and everybody that they know.
yeah, but that's still only 300 people. I mean,
300 people and everybody that they know. So let's just call it 30,000 people.
Flattening the curve. Like I can see the political agenda and making themselves look like the victim and all of that stuff, right? And I can see the agenda of trying to make Bitcoin look like a terrible, scary, scam or cyber currency. But I mean, all the fucking ransomware out there does a good job of that anyway, right? So I mean, they can discredit Bitcoin on way larger volumes by just creating ransomware that requires you to have Bitcoins. And then so many people are going to be fucked over by Bitcoin. They're going to see it as Bitcoin's the problem. Oh, wait, you need Bitcoins for me, right? So there's so many more effective ways to discredit Bitcoin than just doing this fucking script kiddie thing on some of the biggest Twitter accounts. Like it has to have something a little bit more. But like that's why I'm saying like I feel like something more than what we know right now, than what we think. There's something more going on, and I think we're gonna have more of it revealed. Depending on the narrative of the news institutions, that's going to start to show you more political agendas, right?
You don't create a sophisticated attack for simple people, all right? That was like the entire idea behind like MK Ultra. Why did they go so hard after Ross Ulbricht? There's a lot of reasons where you can go like, okay, why? Like there is no extreme to which I don't think that these savage animals will go. And I believe that this fits perfectly into all the stuff they've done in the past. Everything they did back in 2012 and 13. When they did their entire campaign in 2014-15. It's all the KYC, AML. They hold us to a completely different standard than they hold anybody else, right? Attack all the on-ramps and off-ramps. It's all flattening the curve. It's non-stop flattening the curve. Flattening the curve just became a popular thing to say because of COVID-19. It's been a common practice of what they've done for a very, very long time. It's very consistent behavior.
Yeah, but dude, there's so many more effective ways to flatten the curve. I mean, and then when we look at to the media, right, like the Bitcoin obituary, there's only 2, right, anti-Bitcoin articles. There's only 2 Bitcoin's dead articles this year compared to at least hundreds in every other year prior. So why is 2020 just quiet about, shitting on Bitcoin, right? Like it seems like there's a modulation or a change in behavior that's inconsistent with their conventional behavior, which makes me believe that it may not be necessarily like entirely nation state sponsored. There's something else. I think they may have more than this, or I don't know. It's either a nation state attack and they just backdoored right in, or there's something more going on that's going to be happening again.
So, I mean, I believe that the attack has a demographic in mind, right? So I don't think that it's supposed to be an industry-wide attack. I mean, people that work in the industry and people that like are like stupid influencers and people that do stuff. I don't think this is meant for them. This is meant for the newcomers. Only the newcomers, the people that are new to the space, the people buying this stuff on Robinhood, the people buying this stuff on Cash App. These are the suckers that are going to fall for this scam. So the idea is flatten the curve of new adoption.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying this doesn't seem like the most effective way to do that. I mean, if you're looking to burn Bitcoins and you're looking to flatten the curve of adoption, I mean, they tried that with Silk Road, right? But that was a backfire. I mean, you could do it with ransomware. I mean, dude, the fucking CIA and NSA's got so many botnets. I mean, it's just,
right. No, but the Silk Road.
There was actually a thing today. They said App 34 was the CIA.
The Silk Road was a huge success because you can get into Bitcoin conversations tomorrow. Go out and just ask people, hey, have you ever heard about Bitcoin? And they'll be like, isn't that drug money? Isn't that kiddie porn money? Isn't that murder for hire money? That's what they're going to go to. The Ross Ulbricht attack was extraordinarily successful.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say that I aided that to a bit because I did a talk on how people got busted on a tour, and I bought into all the shit that was talked about Ross. And after talking to his mom and seeing some of the evidence on the website, and the fact they never fucking charged him with assassination attempt, which is the only fucking charge I would care about. Yeah, I think Ross got fucked.
Yeah, they fucked Ross.
Yeah. You don't get to think that Ross got fucked. Ross did get fucked. It's all open now. It's all very open and honest and true that he got fucked.
I bought into a lot of shit that was said about Ross before I understood the entire situation. I gave a couple talks on how people got busted on tour, and I bought into some of the shit that was said about Ross. But in hindsight, it looks like a lot of the reporting I found was fucking bullshit.
The event that Colin and I were going to do in a couple days, but the venue pulled out, featured Lynn Ulbricht. She was going to be one of the core speakers, and we're talking about how to deal with the new normal. And one of the things that we were having her speak on top of Ross and criminal justice reform was jury nullification, the way that we can protect one another from, getting fines and getting abused by courts.
I'd be interested in that. I tried to get Lynn to talk at a certain conference I was organizing, though that pushed off to 2021.
The offer's out there. She's excited about it. I want to get her. I want to get her coupled up with a security analyst who can speak to the technical details. I have a buddy of mine named Rob up in one of these states. I don't want to say which, but I got a buddy Rob I want to link her up with. But I would really like to get her onto the security conference circuit, because honestly, it could have been any one of yous.
So I'm just doing more research. It already looks like there's some sort of narrative that's anti-Trump, and it's saying, well, though it looks like the attack targeted blah, 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 it does look like there is nothing happening, from Donald Trump's account and whatever else. So, I mean, I think we'll be able to get a better idea of like exactly what type of political agenda this is under, over the next few days when we start seeing the narrative as it starts emerging. But I'm assuming they're probably going to try to make it turn into something related to Trump or whatever else, or it could even be something. I mean, but yeah, I guess making themselves the victim. I just didn't understand why they wouldn't be using Trump's account too. I mean, that seems like the biggest political agenda to be compromising, right? But I guess they don't want to make him a victim in a sense, but still.
But do we have any kind of confirmation about how they're compromising these accounts?
No, I mean, that's really difficult to say, especially even if they did have information on it. They're not going to be posting anything about that until they patch it. It looks like they shut down tweets and everything. But, I mean, if it was a nation-state attack, I mean, it most likely could have been just something that already existed that was easy to enter. Or, I mean, there's backdoors that are put in. Like, I know they've been trying to take down Jack, especially after he talked about the blue sky, which is that decentralized type of Twitter he was talking about, in order to create better social media. Now, I heard that they were actually trying to take him out more recently because of that. So this, very well could be also just a backdoor that was exploited. There's tons of 0 days that are actually 0 days that were put in there on purpose, right? As backdoors, and I mean, Windows is notorious for that. So, I mean, I'm not entirely sure of exactly how it happened. I mean, if it wasn't that, I'd guess it has to be some sort of social engineering attack that went on for a long time. But I mean, the sophistication, this is where we get to it, the sophistication of the attack, right, required in order to take this many accounts versus what they did with it just are completely inconsistent, which, I mean, would lean more towards the political, agenda, like Nathan was saying, the nation state agenda. Making themselves look like the victims, where if it were that case, I wouldn't even say it would be a hack. It would just be exploiting their back door that they already have access to, right? I mean, depending on what agency it was. But what do you think, Nathan?
I'm going to be very honest. I just went to the other room and peed. It was the bathroom.
I was just asking. He was asking what we thought is the cause of this, and I was just saying that. I mean, if it's nation state, it would most likely be a backdoor. But I mean, I wouldn't call it a hack if it was nation state because it just backdoor right into it. But if it wasn't like some sort of social engineering, I mean, compromising Twitter employees, something like that would be my best guess of how you're going to get in. Because I mean, the database breach isn't going to do anything but get you password hashes, right? So. Yeah, what do you think?
So I think that we can all agree that if you had access to these accounts, that this was a complete and total waste of the access, correct?
It depends on what the point of the access is, but I mean, as far as like the scammer mentality of making money, yes, this was a waste as far as the perspective of making money. But as far as making a point, I think that still is to be determined.
Well, I mean, if you were to access the Elon Musk's account and you wanted to make money, would you say, "Hey, send me half a Bitcoin and I'll send you a Bitcoin back," or would you say, "I have an ICO"? You could do an ICO thing and fucking destroy.
Mm-hmm. You make billions with that, I'm sure.
My God, are you kidding me? I'm launching your cryptocurrency.
It was financially motivated.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Musk coin. Holy shit! This would not be $100,000 issue. This would be a gargantuan. If Biden said, "Hey, we really need to fucking take down Trump. Vote blue, no matter who. I need your cryptocurrencies." Guess what? The entire Yang Gang would be there dumping their Bitcoin in there, right? There's the person that executed this, or the group of people that executed this, they were not after money.
Here's another thing too, bro. I know, yeah, obviously they definitely were. I'm looking at the Musk tweet and the Bill Gates tweet, which were 3 hours apart from one another. That's another inconsistency to it being an actual outside breach, right? Because they see Elon Musk post a tweet that's showing a compromised account. I think 3 hours is a pretty high lead time for them to still remain in the system making tweets on other people's accounts, personally.
Well, I mean, you don't know. They may have.
Yeah, I mean,
What?
well, once you reveal yourself, I mean, at least if it were mine, like they would have been gone really quick. But I mean, it's more leaning towards the nation state angle. I don't know. I mean, if you're gonna fucking run a sophisticated attack and you want to maximize the profitability as much as possible, once you lose your cover, you want to have everything as as much as possible. You want to be monetizing and getting as much out of that as possible, right? But I mean, this is a pretty long window of attack, especially for making tweets on other people's accounts, right? I mean, it's a pretty significant thing, especially like Elon Musk making a tweet about Bitcoin. It's a pretty significant event happening. So, I mean, you would think that they would have all of these going out at once, wouldn't you?
Well, no, I think out of all of the profiles that were tweeting about it, Elon's was the least suspicious. Elon, who claimed himself to be the CEO of Doge, right? Come on, for fuck's sake, Elon's the least suspicious
Did
of all.
he call himself the CEO of Doge? Really?
Yeah, like joking around, like because he was like fucking being fun. Yeah, what? This was months ago, like probably like 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Because there is none, so he was just being a dick, just trolling. when I say nation state, I don't mean like the powers that be that are currently in power. What I'm saying is there is a nation state that is a left wing and a right wing and a deep state and all that other fun stuff, and the CIA and FBI and all the alphabet guys and all that shit, right? That is the state to me. It's not like the guy that's in power and his buddies. It's the entire idea of who is trying to control and that entire spectrum. So, yeah, like it doesn't necessarily have to be all Democrat or all Republican. It just has to be, okay, the idea is we're going to make Bitcoin look bad. This is the way that we execute it. This is going to be our vehicle. Like, and it's kind of fucked up because nobody ever goes, other than the OJ case, I guess, nobody ever goes, well, this was the escape vehicle. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody would go, oh, they only wanted to they wanted to collect the ransom in fucking Toblerone chocolate. That would never come up. That would never come up.
Yeah. I mean, the attack profile, like, I mean, and I'm leaning towards your theory on this. The attack profile just doesn't fit with something Black Hat. It just, I mean, dude, I'm looking up like Wigglebot, the Gemini, right? Gemini had 2FA, right? Like they just posted on the tweet that they had multi-factor authentication, but it's a confirmation of the multi-factor authentication breach, right? Which that's a serious breach. And I mean, depending on their authentication system, I mean, it's pretty difficult to fuck that up. Like it's really like, I mean, you got your password hashes and you salt it, and you know, you protect against rainbow tables and shit like that. I mean, but there's really not much to an authentication system. So being able to breach into that, right? Like it's just making me look like it wasn't a hack, it was a backdoor. I mean, because they're posting these things like 3 hours apart from one another, these tweets. It's just, I mean,
I think Jack got fucked on it too, didn't he? Didn't Jack Dorsey get fucked on it?
no, I don't think Jack was. Jack wasn't a part of it. No, it was the Winkies, Binance, Coinbase, Gemini.
I don't care. I don't care about the crypto industry stuff other than Jack, just because Jack is Jack. I thought Jack got hit.
No, but here I'm gonna look at Jack's letter. Oh, this is it. Do you want me to read Jack Dorsey's letter?
Yeah, sure. Frank, you finding anything?
Twitter seems to be experiencing a large-scale cyber attack, as illustrated by a number of posts inviting users to transfer Bitcoin under fraudulent pretenses. The account targeted includes those for Apple, Uber, Jeff Bezos, former President Barack Obama, and even the Democratic nominee for president. The list of affected accounts is growing by the minute. Unaffected accounts are alleged to be protected by Twitter's two-factor authentication. I'm concerned that this event may represent not merely a coordinated set of separate hacking incidents, but rather a successful attack on the security of Twitter itself. As you know, millions of users rely on your service not just to tweet publicly, but also communicate privately through your direct message service. A successful attack on your system's servers represents a threat to all of your users' privacy. And data, please reach out immediately to the Department of Justice and Federal Bureau and take any necessary measures. This blah, blah, blah. Okay, so never mind. This was not a letter from Jack. This was a letter to Jack from the Trump administration. It looks like they're pretty worried about this. Did the event represent a breach of users and security? Were accounts protected? Yeah, so Trump definitely wasn't involved in any way, shape, or form because they're inquiring about it right now, from what it looks like.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That makes him look even guiltier than anything else possibly
yeah.
does.
I mean, what I get from reading this, man, is it just looks like he's scared for his own account. He's scared for it to happen. Right? I mean, that's what I get from it. Let's see. They did Kim Kardashian too.
Yeah, not just Kim Kardashian. They got Wiz Khalifa, Warren Buffett, Mr. Beast, Wendy's, Uber, Cash App, Mike Bloomberg, and a few others.
Hey, is Peter Schiff on that list?
Nope.
Nah, I didn't see him.
apparently they also tweeted out high after the Bitcoin thing with Musk's account.
Yeah.
About an hour after I guess to show they still had access to it.
So how big is the window? Do we have any idea time wise?
The attack window,
Yeah.
it's at least 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, it started at like 2:45. Just went on after that.
Guys, give me think.
They tweeted it from the Twitter support account as well.
I think I might pass out. Does anybody got anything else to go on about before we end the cast?
No, man, I am done. I am burned right out too, man. I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right. I love you all in a hedgerow way. Mostly. I'll catch you all later. You all have a good evening.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us on the cast.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for
Good
being
time
on.
being on, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Alrighty, take it easy.
Okay.